This is a very passionate podcast. I'm Mario.
Super very passionate people. I'm very passionate.
Very, very passionate about it.
Very passionate people.
She's one of the most passionate people.
Or maybe you don't know shit and you want to learn from the best. Very passionate. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the I Am Very Passionate podcast. I'm Jessica.
And I also am Jessica.
Oh, no.
I'm Mario. Hi. So this week, it might be a little bit of a lighter show in terms of length.
Yeah.
And I feel like our last episode was probably our shortest episode ever.
I liked it, though.
I enjoyed it. Like, it was fine. I mean, not fine, like, oh, well, it's whatever. But, like, it was good. Like, I enjoyed it. It was a good episode.
But we needed such a light episode because Mario's still worried about my mental state.
Well, I don't know, I've kind of made the executive decision that if we have a very heavy episode the next week, we should have a more light episode.
Well, I agree. I see what it is. I don't show a ton of emotion. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty, like, baseline all the time. It's taken years to get there. So when people see me like how I used to be years ago, everybody freaks out.
Oh,
like,
gosh.
So me being sick and emotional and completely empathic, it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Where Daniel's like, she's fine. She'll get over it. She used to do this all the time.
Okay. I mean, he knows. He knows you best.
Yeah, he does.
But, like, also, I don't want this to become something that, like, you dread doing. Like, I'm gonna
I love doing
go
things.
through. Well, of course not, of course. And just with that, I don't want you to get to that state, like, five weeks in a row, and you're like, I just can't do this anymore, you know? So I figured...
We're really good about picking different topics, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So like this week, I'm excited.
Are you?
Yeah, because I'm dying to talk about it.
Okay, there's actually a whole podcast based off this question.
What question?
Of movies that have shaped you.
Oh, yes, but I was talking about the other thing.
Oh, yes. That's
okay, so this week we're doing movies, and we've added TV shows. So we're doing movies and TV shows that have shaped us. Mm-hmm. We're doing 5 because we had to cap it.
Yeah.
Because we could talk for hours. Also,
as you all know.
Yes. Apparently our episodes are still too long. Sorry, Kim.
She's not listening.
I know.
Love you.
Love you more. We're going to talk about Carlton Gary, who I'm, like, obsessed with.
She really is.
I love his... Well, I have ties to him, so... I have ties to the story, yeah.
You'll understand.
And he was the Stocking Strangler, and he's our hometown.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting.
I did watch a YouTube video about it in preparation, just so I'm not completely in the dark. But it's so weird hearing somebody do like a report and them saying our town's name, and I'm just like,
yeah,
that's weird. Like you never hear that on like a TV show.
This is like one of those dark blips on the radar that nobody talks about.
Yeah, they try to pretend it.
And I'm going to give my opinions about it too.
Oh, I'm excited.
There's a lot. This is a convoluted case. And what's the other one we're doing?
That's it. We're doing that, and then the movies and TV shows that have shaped us. And then we're just going to have a couple of icebreakers to start off.
We're not doing 3 topics. We're doing 2.
We're doing 2 this week. Because we couldn't think of it. Let's be honest.
I thought we did.
No. Do you want to think of one really quick?
No.
We can ad-lib.
If something else, that gives us more room to talk during icebreakers.
Well, exactly, and it gives us more to talk. Well, I figured the movie thing was going to be like super long.
That's going to be long, yeah.
So I figured it's fine doing 2 topics this week.
Mm-hmm. And I have a lot to say about Carlton Gary.
Well, then here we go. It's working out, because then that's not a 3.5-hour episode we're releasing, you know?
God, could you imagine?
It could be 2.5.
2.5 is fine. That's our base. It
is. And honestly, I don't mind editing long episodes, but I love it when it's a shorter episode, because I can enjoy it, listen to it, cut out what needs to be cut, and then... like, get on with my life.
Yeah, and hopefully we have less cuts for you now.
No, we've gotten a lot better. Mm-hmm. I will say we've gotten a lot better. Like, there was that one time we had that really just everywhere episode, and I would put my foot down. I was like, no, we need to... for editing purposes, we need to just repeat this. Mm-hmm. So, say what you just said. Because otherwise, like, I think I spent 5.5 hours editing that episode. It was rough.
And I have a little bit of a cough, so if I sound nasally or if I have to cough, I'll try and muffle it as much as I can.
Okay. I didn't know this.
It's been a recent development.
Am I allowed to breathe the air? Am I going to get this?
No, I think I told you my sinuses are draining because it's been colder in the morning. So, like, here in the South, if you don't live here, it's hot from, like, April to November, but it's the end of summer, and I'm walking outside and it's 68 degrees in the morning, which is not normal. Like, I'm used to walking outside and it's 80 degrees in the morning.
It's so weird because everywhere else in the country is, like, having record-setting, like, highs, like 107 degrees, and we're getting, like, a cool front, and it's like, oh.
And I just came back from the beach, and it was a little bit stormy and a little bit cooler, so I think I'm just, like, all my sinuses are draining because I have a deviated septum.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. Why haven't you gotten a nose job?
I want one.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you want to change the shape?
Yeah, I would shave off my bump. and fix my septum.
I've always wanted a bump.
I know. It's crazy. I don't. But also, like, my breathing...
It's a really beautiful bump, though. You have a really nice nose.
Okay, it's going to sound so ridiculous. Listen. Do you hear that?
Uh-huh.
That's the only amount of nose flow I get on that side. Like, it's not a lot.
Do I have a deviated septum or do I just have boogers?
I don't know. But, like, I can't... I feel like I'm a mouth breather. I can't get enough oxygen through my nose.
Oh, no.
Sometimes I told you that kid at Tot Town kicked me in the nose, and my mom wouldn't let me go back to daycare.
Oh, and so it's been deviated ever since.
Since I was 4 years old.
Explains so much.
Yep.
Not enough oxygen to our brain.
That's exactly what or orally onsets is one of the two.
Well, lack of oxygen can cause memory loss.
Well, I have terrible memory.
There you go.
There it is.
Get the nose job, and you'll be Hermione Granger all over again.
Oh my god, I don't want to go through. I'm scared. You know what they do to fix your nose?
They break it.
They have to break it, chisel and hammer.
Mm-hmm.
That scares me.
But you'll be asleep. It's fine.
But I'll wake up in pain. I don't. Yeah. So
then you'll be able to breathe.
I don't have a lot of phobias, Mario.
But surgery's one?
Yeah. I cried. I had a panic attack before my daughter.
Oh.
Because they were like,
she had a C-section, right?
Emergency C-section, right. 3 weeks early. And I wouldn't let anybody take pictures. I cried the whole time. I almost passed out on the table after I made Daniel leave the room to go be with Madeline. They had to put the smelling salts at my nose. I don't do surgery. I don't do hospitals.
Oh my god.
So voluntary, not gonna happen. They're gonna have to be your life is in danger. Fix your fucking nose.
Or maybe just somebody will throw a football and Marsha Brady you.
Oh my nose!
I love the Brady Bunch so much.
All right, let's do this.
All right, so we only have 2 icebreakers this week because they're more heavy topics.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is that Mueller he testified in front of Congress.
Yep.
Twice.
Yep.
Once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and he very much stuck to the script. He did not try to elaborate more than he could. He pretty much stuck to the report because he feels the report should stand on its own and is legally what's binding and what's there. A lot of people are trying to interpret it different ways. So, of course, Trump and his people are trying to spin it, saying that, this exonerates him. But he explicitly said, Mueller explicitly said this didn't exonerate him. But he also, the biggest thing that I think a lot of at least Democrats and left-leaning people took from it was that he said Trump could be charged with obstruction of justice after he was president, because they think constitutionally that a president cannot have charges brought against them while they're sitting in office. So, who knows? We'll see what happens.
But then how do we end up throwing people out of office?
Impeachment. They have to do something to the point where they agree that this person is incompetent or unable to run the country. And typically they've stepped down. So Nixon stepped down because he knew he did wrong. It was going to be proven he did wrong.
Do you think that people are really going to go after Trump after he's out of office? I
don't know. It depends on who gets elected. Because if if he gets elected, then whoever follows him. If it's a Republican, no. If it's a Democrat, maybe.
But a Republican can't get elected.
Yeah, they can't. Say he wins a second term.
Yeah.
A Republican won't.
No. I'm talking about. I'm hoping that he's out after this.
Well, term. Also, if a Republican's running against him and wins the actual nomination away from him, he cannot run for president.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, explain that to me. I didn't know that. I thought that because he was the president, they give him
That's typically the respectful thing. They leave if you're the incumbent, meaning you hold the office currently. You usually you run unopposed. But in the past, people have ran against presidents because they feel they're not representative of the party, or what have you. And if they win, that president cannot run under the party. So they could technically run as an independent,
but they couldn't run under.
They could not run as a Republican. So Trump wouldn't be able to run as a Republican because the Republican nominee is this person who took it from him. So typically, if that happens, they would just not run. But knowing Trump, he would still run.
Yeah.
But the thing with that, which would be very good, was it would split the vote. So
Democrats would have the majority. Yeah.
So
because it'd be technically half and then 2/3. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'd be a very interesting what if. I'm not going to hold my breath for it. But it'd be pretty exciting.
25%. I'm not great at math, sorry.
But also, speaking of the upcoming election, I think Trump's recent actions might really hurt his base. Because the thing that I don't understand about his base is that most of them are poor white people. And poor white people need food stamps.
Yep.
And he is cutting food stamps.
Yep.
Well, he's specifically cutting a loophole that allows people who are already getting welfare to automatically be enrolled in food stamps. Mm-hmm. So that would affect 3.1 million people.
So he's taking that option away for people who are I'm on welfare, I automatically get food stamps. He's taking that loophole away.
Yes, so you would
have to apply for them.
You have to apply for food stamps, and in a lot of states, it's extremely difficult otherwise to get food stamps.
Yeah,
like you have to have less than so much a month. You have to be like doing certain things. Like it's a very hard process to get food stamps if it's not through being on welfare. So this would affect 3.1 million people on food stamps, and I think that's really going to fuck with his base. Hopefully so. I don't know. But then at the same time, there's those farmers who got fucked over by him with all of his shit with China in terms of the trade wars and everything. And it's pretty much putting these farms out of business. And they're like, oh, well, I'm still going to vote for him because I'm hopeful. Like, you dumb fuck. He doesn't care about you. All he cares about is himself, that wall, and the money. Yeah. Also, did you see...
all the promises he made to, like, the towns that have died because we're no longer in that industry, like coal mining towns and factory towns, he's done nothing.
It's bullshit. It's just a lot of talk.
Like, there have been no reactivated coal mines. There have been no factories that have come back. These people are still sitting unemployed, without education.
Without any... And that's why I prefer the Democratic approach to this. Hillary and Elizabeth... Hillary did this when she was talking about it. She talked about re-education.
Because that's the future.
That is the future, because guess what? Coal is not the future.
Right.
So you need to learn something new. And they're willing to pay for the government. If elected, they'd be willing to have the government program to pay for you to learn a new trade.
Yeah, I was all for that.
I'm so here for that. I think it's a great idea because... I mean, even now, there's a lot of things being lost to automation. Even factory jobs and stuff are being lost. So they have to create jobs somehow. And I think if they're not looking to that, instead they're trying to embrace what's not working, they're only going to eventually fuck everybody over.
Or like how just to turn onto the past and try to bring the past alive. Like it died out for a reason.
Exactly. Yeah. Racism died out for a reason, but you're trying to bring it here.
He was talking about the factory workers. But sure.
But no. I mean,
let's call it racism.
Racism did not die out.
No,
but
never. It's gotten better.
It got a little bit better. Really, I honestly think a lot of people, at least a lot of older people, just got better at hiding it.
That's fine.
But their kids may not have inherited that.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay if your racism is silenced. I'll just wait for you to die, and hopefully the new generation will come up and be more educated.
I really hope so. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news. This is not in the document.
Okay, tell me. I'm ready. Hit me with it, Mario.
So the Supreme Court recently ruled that Trump is able to use military spending money to start building a portion of the wall. You can't see it right now, but her eyes just rolled so far back into the back of her head.
I'm sorry.
It was beautiful.
I have to process that.
Yeah.
How much money?
I think it's like $2.5 billion or something like that. It's military
like maybe
spending.
1 mile of the wall?
I really
What's
am not
that going to
certain.
get us?
Not a lot. They literally want a wall to stretch the entire border, and that's impossible. Like, I mean, it's not impossible. It is going to cost like $1 trillion.
He saw the Great Wall of China and just wants to do it here.
Because you can see it from space, but guess what, dumb fuck? You can't. Exactly.
Space. Yeah.
You can't. But he just wants something that is physical and tangible that has his name on it. Because policy can be undone. He's proving that with Obama. Obamacare is slowly being dismantled. They just eliminated a major rule in Obamacare that stopped them from raising the prices of the insurance.
Right.
And so that's kind of pretty much dismantled a lot of Obamacare in terms of it helping people.
A wrecking ball.
Oh God, don't associate Miley with that. She doesn't deserve that.
I want her wrecking ball.
To break down the wall?
Yeah.
So
let him have his little wall.
But of course, this was definitely a political thing because it was along party lines. So the five Republican representative or justices of the Supreme Court voted for it, and then the 4 Democrats voted against it. So it just goes to show how fucking important that seat in the Supreme Court was, and he's using it to his effect and to his advantage, and it's disgusting.
Yep.
So I know.
Oh my God, it's so sad.
It's really sad.
I saw something. I don't know if you posted it or if it was posted to our page on Instagram.
I don't post.
No. It was my friend in Tampa, Ashley. she posted something that said, y'all running around trying to force immigrants out of the countries would have been the same assholes putting Jewish people in concentration camps when Hitler was around. And I was like, you know what? I never really thought about it like that. But now I do, because I've read a lot of articles that, like, ICE technically isn't legal, and the warrants,
What?
So
expand.
Okay, so I read this article, and it was about a guy who was an advocate group for immigrant families, and what he did was he would drive them to court cases to have them either dismissed or whatever because they're illegal immigrants. Now, as long as you are in the car but not driving, they can't technically pull you out of the car. So the advocate was sitting in the car. I watched the video too. It was really amazing. The advocate was sitting in the car. He got pulled over. And apparently this has been going on in New York, where like immigrant families or illegal aliens are going to court because they're trying to do the right thing and not be a criminal for a traffic violation, whatever. And ICE is waiting because they get a name and they get you when you leave the courthouse.
That's disgusting.
So advocates have started driving the cars for these immigrant families. He got pulled over, and the guy had a warrant, and he was like, "Nope, I'm a legal citizen. I own this car. It's registered to my name. I don't have to open the door for you." And he had his lawyer on the phone while talking to the immigrant. And he was like, "I know." He was like, "I'm currently studying to be a lawyer. I know what that warrant means. It hasn't been signed by a judge. Technically, forcing these people out of the car is going to be illegal. I'm not opening the doors. And if you do so with force, like, I will make sure you're prosecuted." And so technically they can have a warrant, but if it hasn't been signed, it's technically not constitutional.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of ICE warrants are not signed by judges.
How are they getting away with this?
Because all they have to do is put them in an ICE jail, and then if you don't have a lawyer, you don't have rights because you're not a citizen.
That's so
Once
fucked
they
up.
get you there, that's it.
They're treating them like animals.
Yeah.
No, that just made me think of that thing that happened with the family. You're the one who told me about this, and how his neighbors helped the family from being deported.
Yes, did we ever talk about that on the
please tell the
podcast?
story. It's a really good
It's
story.
so amazing. So this I don't remember why he was driving home, but ICE was following him, and he knew it, and he called neighbors and friends to come help protect him, and he sat in his car because they could not pull him out of the car. I guess the warrant is what it was. And they can't pull him out of his home. So he was sitting in his car for hours. His neighbors, everyone that lived on the street with him. And this is a northern street and like a really red part of the state. I'll look it up and I'll tag it in our Instagram. But they surrounded the vehicle so ICE couldn't get to it. They called the police to keep ICE from doing anything. They put gas in his car. They gave him food and water. And then when they no longer could stay in the car because his son had to go to the bathroom or something, because his like 7-year-old son was in the car with him, they formed a human chain around him so that they could get him in and out of his house. And ICE eventually left, and the police stood by and made sure that ICE did not interfere.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's such
really cool.
Community like this. Like, I don't know, this is silly, but it makes me think of Harry Potter.
No, it's not silly.
I mean, everything comes back to Harry Potter. We are going to have Harry Potter episodes, period. We just have to plan them.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed by that.
It's so much to talk about, and we're both very passionate about Harry Potter. And you'll hear a little bit about that later on today. But it reminds me of the Wizarding Wireless, where Lee Jordan has a little radio show, and he's talking about him and Kingsley and Remus are talking about, well, like, you can put some simple protective spells over your Muggle neighbors and look out for them and protect them from Death Eaters because they don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, I don't know, it just makes me think of that, and I'm just hopeful.
In a red state, in a town, they were like, they've been here 15 years, we love them, they've never caused problems, they work in the community, their son is a good kid. And they band together to make sure ICE wouldn't interfere. And the police came out and made sure that ICE didn't interfere.
That's amazing.
So if you are an immigrant and you're listening by chance, welcome. We love you. And also, if that warrant's not signed by a judge in our town or surrounding areas, don't get out of the car.
Work.
You don't have to.
I know, that gives me a lot of hope. I really hope they dismantle ICE. I know that's a goal of a lot of Democratic
Well, I had a student's dad who was taken by ICE and deported back to Mexico.
Right. You mentioned this, I think, before with you writing essays for him.
Yeah, what's really sad, and he got deported. What's really sad is that one time after the little baby was born, because she had like a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old, the 16-year-old had severe disabilities, and the baby was maybe 6 months old. She got into a terrible accident driving to go see him. Oh. And she like had to pull her kids out of the car by herself on the highway going to Atlanta. And, the oldest daughter actually broke her pelvis
Jesus.
And she barely got the younger daughter out. And she's like maybe 4'11", and her kids are all taller than her, even the one with disabilities. And, like, they all had horrible injuries, and she was able to get them all out. And then another car smashed into her car because it was raining so bad. Like, if she hadn't done that, they all would have died.
Oh, my God.
And it's because she got to see her husband, like, once a week. And she never missed a date. She went to church, and they went to go see their dad every week.
That's so sad.
It was terrible. He's still there, according... I still talk to them.
Still in
Mexico. Yeah.
Oh, not in custody.
Yeah.
Like, no way for him to come back? He can't apply for a visa or anything because he came illegally?
And the thing is he wasn't here illegally. They had they had green cards. So his birth certificate...
Oh, right, the letter!
There's, like, one letter off in his middle name, and that's how they got him.
And they can't fix that and just let him come back?
I don't know. It's hard right now. All this is happening on the precipice of Trump. Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't
know.
You're ending positively too, dang it.
It is positive. It is positive. He's happy, they're fine, and they stayed here. She had to stay here. Her son has severe disabilities. Yeah. Mexico is not the place for him. But I don't know.
Does she have a green card and everything's in line?
She does, yeah.
Okay.
She's a house cleaner and she works at a factory in Phoenix City.
Okay, word. Yeah. There's factories there?
Apparently, I didn't know. I think it's small.
Oh.
I don't think it's, like, big or anything.
Mattress?
I think medical, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Anyway, we're proud of all our people fighting against ICE.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it shows that, like, our communities can come together against bigotry and xenophobia.
I know a certain city council member that used to go to all the ICE protective meetings in town, but wouldn't say anything to, like, her fellow people because she knew she would be, like, criticized for it. So she would show up at the meetings, shake hands, provide numbers and advocates, and then quietly slip out the back door. Because if she advertised them, like, on her Facebook or at city council meetings, she would be, like, completely ripped apart. But she would go and show up and show support, do what she could, and then quietly back out the door.
Like, to help immigrants.
To help immigrants.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I thought you were saying...
They used to hold, like, immigration law advocacy groups at churches in town. And they still do, if I'm not mistaken. So you can show up there, it's safe, it's sanctuary. These churches are not going to get you in trouble. So she would show up as a political figure, do her little bit, work, and then, like, walk out and not say anything. So there are good people out there, even in our government.
Of course, it's just... I think it's a shame that people are ashamed.
Yeah.
You
shouldn't be ashamed, because we love you guys.
Absolutely. And we're proud to have you part of our country.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, let's get started.
Ooh, Jaclyn Hill.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. We're bringing her back. She came back. But she uploaded, like, a 17-minute video where she explains why she... canceled her social media. She said it was for her mental state and that she had to learn how to pick up the pieces and become a CEO, and she was really naive about what that meant. But apparently the video's not going over great. I didn't mind it. I feel like it was really honest, but I also hardcore stan her.
Exactly.
So I don't know. Maybe people see things that I don't. I want to believe the best for her. But apparently she's losing subscribers left and right. Her social blade is, like, in the negative.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's sad.
It is sad, but I will say she has such a large following. She's not going to lose it all. And even though she's, like, going from, like, maybe 9 million subscribers to 7 million, that's still 7 million potential buyers of her product.
I just want the nude lipsticks. And I know you were like, they're probably not going to come back. But, like, there were a lot of those shades in there would match my skin tone. And it's hard to find a nude lip that doesn't come off brown. Because I am brown.
Understandable.
So, I don't know. I'm rooting for Jaclyn, but I think I'm the only person.
I mean, I don't wish harm on her.
No, but I mean, like, negative. You also not, like, invested in
I'm
her.
Indifferent.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, okay, that's happening. Like, when it was first happening, like, oh my God, girl, let's pull up the tea.
For
like,
the first time in a long time, a James Charles video popped up in my recommended videos. Because I unsubscribed when the whole thing happened. Because what he did to Tati was icky.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, people are like, oh, Tati should know this. No, like, he was a fucking awful friend. Like, and that's what crossed the line for me. I don't care about, like, the whole alleged...
Well, no, and I totally supported him with the whole, like...
misinformation and that guy lying.
Not the misinformation, just, like, they were calling him, like, a predator. I didn't agree with that. I didn't agree with that either.
You did at first.
No, I was like, if this is... No, I have the text. I said, if this is true, that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, and y'all went in, and I was just like, I'm not saying a damn thing.
No, I said if it was true. But... I
just remember feeling very uncomfortable.
Well, but I'm glad that, like, more stuff came out to show that he wasn't really a predator. But still, what he did to Tati was icky, and she gave him everything. So I'm not subscribed to him. But a video popped up, and it was, sliding into the DMs of celebrities to choose my makeup, and I was like, I'm so
Have you not learned your fucking lesson, dumbass?
I subscribe to this nonsense. Oh my god.
Oh my god,
I'm
indeed.
serious. I'll show you.
How stupid can you be?
I don't know. I didn't watch the video. I asked that I not see any more from him because, like, that just really got under my skin. Because he didn't learn. I said, James, learn your lesson. You weren't listening, James, and you didn't learn your lesson. Oh, I'm trying to be the most famous boy on the planet, and you need to just, like, work hard.
That's awful.
Jaclyn Hill's busting her ass and people hate her, and you're sliding into DMs of celebrities for a makeup tutorial. It's kind of icky.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you have to pick up the pieces and move on, but at the same time...
That's icky.
It's icky, dude. Like, come on. Let's just, like O.J. Simpson writing the book, If I Did It. We knew you fucking did it.
Oh, my God. I was so uncomfortable when that happened.
So uncomfortable. I love people coming for him on Twitter, though.
Yeah.
Like...
He thought he was going to get on there and
everybody's going to just... Well, I mean, some people are. Some people are embracing him.
Didn't R. Kelly also get arrested?
R. Kelly got arrested and has, like, federal charges of child pornography and, like pedophilia or what have you, sleeping with a child. Because multiple, like, tapes have come forward of people who were previously hiding it.
And what's the network that did the documentary?
Was it A&E?
No. They don't do stuff like that.
Lifetime?
It wasn't Lifetime. Maybe it was Oxygen.
Might have been Oxygen. I don't know.
They're doing a second part.
Work. But no, this documentary...
More people have come forward.
This documentary has literally gotten federal charges against this man.
I would also like to say I believe he had a traumatic head injury as well.
I mean, excuses.
I couldn't watch it. Did you try?
No.
I tried
That's
the first
too heavy.
episode.
That's too heavy. I can't deal. I saw the interview with Gayle King. And I was like, oh no, he's unhinged. I can't watch this. I don't want to even hear about this man. But then, like, the guy who used to be his, like, lawyer and advocate, who's no longer his lawyer advocate, was doing an interview with Gayle King, and she's like, so would you let your teenage daughter be with him? And he's like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's like, but you're over here advocating for his innocence. So why not? Why not? But then also... He pretty much spilled the beans and said R. Kelly cannot read or write. Yeah. So he's pretty much going crazy because he's bored in prison. I'm like, damn.
Did you ever see his video after the documentary was released? A social media video was released of him going, "They can't touch me." Like a full on
R. Kelly?
Yeah, like R. Kelly. He was like, "They're trying to bring me down. They can't bring me down. We're gonna release new music." Like it was this whole, like, what was the movie where he's like, "I'm King Kong"?
I don't know.
Training Day with Denzel Washington.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, so there's this one scene where he's like, basically, like, all of his evil policing stuff is catching up to him. They're surrounding him, about to take him in. He's like, "You can't take me in. I'm King Kong." Like, it's just this whole, like, unhinged. He does not understand the reality of what's happening to him.
He's deranged.
Yeah.
Like, outright deranged.
Well, again, it goes back to the whole thing. If you're actually attracted to a child, yeah, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that can't be. I just, ooh.
I mean, but if you watch Trapped in the Closet, it kind of shows how crazy he is.
Yeah, sure, but I'm not going to very establish that. If I can't
it's hilarious,
but
dude.
if I can't watch Kevin Spacey stuff, see, I'm sure as hell not going to watch R. Kelly.
So moving on from Trapped in the Closet, we're going to go on and talk about Carlton Gary. She's been wanting to talk about this since we started a podcast.
I love Carlton
She
Gary.
just, I guess, needed time to research. I don't know.
No, I don't need time to research.
She's ready. She's ready.
I have my favorite webpage about him.
Oh.
So I'm going straight from that because it's everything from beginning to
She's
end.
the president of the fan club. I'm joking. I'm totally joking.
I'm so intrigued by this man, and also because there's a lot of racism tied to this story.
Yes, there is. And your dad's story in regards to it.
Yeah.
I can't wait for people to hear. So, we'll be right back in a second, and we'll see you on the other side.
It's a staring contest with some murder themes to it. I'm so excited because this is our second true crime, and I feel like we only ever pick the people I'm interested in.
No.
Who did we do first?
JonBenet.
Oh, that was both of us. Yeah, we were excited about JonBenet.
I'm so excited about talking. I could talk about JonBenet forever.
Yeah.
Just like...
Okay, so this is our hometown. Obviously, I feel like everyone, if you look this up, you're going to know where we're from.
Yeah, we live in Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, it's fine. Not a big deal.
It's not fine. Don't come and kill us.
So Carlton Gary was executed last year. Is this 2019? He was executed in 2018 for crimes he committed in the 70s.
Damn.
Yeah.
Litigation took that long?
He did a lot of appeals.
He exhausted them, though, or?
Did he? Yeah, I think he exhausted them.
What if he didn't do it?
I'm pretty sure he did it.
I know.
There's a lot of evidence stating that if he's not guilty of all the crimes, he's guilty of at least 2 of them.
Oh, okay.
Do you know anything about him?
I know.
What do you know?
He terrorized old women and killed old women with stockings.
Old white women.
Old white women.
Yeah.
That's the basis of what I know. Because
Okay.
I did fall asleep halfway through that video that I watched on YouTube because I was really tired.
Oh.
It's nothing against him personally. I was just really tired that day.
Okay. So before I get into Carlton Gary, there is a part in our town, like back in the day, where Columbus is made up of basically like rich families that started Columbus, and they still all kind of like live here. They kind of fund everything. Like one family built all of our buildings. Anyway.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I reside here. I don't live here.
Yeah.
I just need a shirt that says that. So a bunch of families got together and built Columbus and established it into what it is.
Like their own, like in their own way. Like they don't work together. They just each like saw a hole in the market back in the 1920s and
they
built
filled
since
it.
then. Yeah. And they're still around, still making money, still kind of control things in town. They all used to live in this one part of town that's called Lake Bottom. It's our historical part. A lot of those houses are still around. They're still beautiful, but that's basically where all these crimes are going to take place. Yeah, some like where Kim lives.
I went to school there.
I know. Oh yeah, my dad used to live there. So here's my tie to it, right? So my stepdad, but my dad lived in a part of that area that didn't have a lot of rich people. So there's like a rich side to Lake Bottom and like a poor side. And this is back before your school was a private school. Like it was a neighborhood school. So my dad actually used to go there.
Well, my school's not a private school. It's
not a private school. It's you have to test to get in. But this is before it became a magnet school. That's what it is, magnet. My dad kind of looks like him. But my dad also used to cut grass for money. Mm-hmm. And so he actually cut the grass of some of these women, like their families that were killed or like targeted. And so he was asked to give a semen sample and he refused because they had no right. But this is also a time where it was a super racist time in Columbus. And
so recent?
My dad, in the 70s though. Like
I'm just saying that's still really racist.
My dad used to get chased home from school with like white kids in his neighborhood with bats on the back of their trucks.
Good fuck.
Like calling them the N-word, and he would have to like leave school and run home.
That's terrible.
Yeah. And so when his dad passed away, he still owned the house that they grew up in. My dad refuses to sell it. He's going to keep it forever, and he rents it out to low-income families.
Oh, work.
Mm-hmm. And my dad refused, and he told the police officer why, and the police officer didn't push it, and that's part of the reason why my dad became a police officer. Because that police officer, who was a white guy,
saved him?
Was basically, because they could have pinned it on him.
Yeah.
There was so much, it was manic panic during that time. Like, people wanted answers. Carlton Gary targeted rich, older white women from these families.
Wow.
So that's what he went after. So I'm going to talk about Mr. Carlton Scary Mary Gary.
Oh.
So.
Was he gay?
No. Oh. He was married to a woman. I don't know.
That doesn't mean shit.
No, you're right. But back then, I assume. Anyway, Carlton Gary was born in Columbus, Georgia. He was born in 1952. His father was a construction worker who basically wanted nothing to do with him. He wouldn't even give like money to his mom. So his mom was super, super poor. She basically moved around a lot, trying to find jobs, trying to like make ends meet. I think his dad only saw him like one time when he was 12 years old. That's it. Like he wanted nothing to do with him.
Damn.
So it is said that sometimes she was completely unable to care for him and took him to his aunt on his father's side or to his great aunt on her mother's side. So Alma Williams or Lillian Nesbitt. So his aunt Lillian and his mom all worked as housekeepers for wealthy older white women.
Oh.
And so a lot of people have theorized, like people who study serial killers, that's likely where he learned his contempt for older rich white women. And it's because of his mom and his aunt's experiences with them.
Oh.
So I guess because they were always complaining like, to his mom and his aunt, the older white woman, they would come home and complain about how they were treated. Depending on personality, the people his aunt worked for also may have been petty, demanding, and fussy. Since these employers came of age in an era when segregation and white supremacy were taken for granted, they may have also been racist. But this was, like, the only way his family would get money to, like, feed him.
Yeah, so you have to work for racist people sometimes.
Right. I mean, you know.
Especially if they run the fucking town.
Exactly. So they have said that he heard about white supremacy at a young age, how people were taken for granted, and it's also probably why it fed his hatred for white people, and he demonstrates that throughout his crimes. He was super, super smart. He had a very, very high IQ. The problem is he suffered some sort of brain damage. It's said that he was knocked unconscious on a playground. He also didn't have enough food and was often, like, malnourished, super skinny. So there was a lot, and that can cause brain deficiencies, especially at a young age. So people in studies of Carlton Gary, they have said that they can see him running through, like, garbage cans for food. Apparently, Carlton was a traveler early on. His mother's brother, William David, received a phone call from a military police in the Fort Lee Army Post in Virginia.
Oh my God.
And the kid said he wanted to talk to him. Carlton, who was only 8 at the time, was put on the phone, and he said, "Unc, it's Gary, come and get me." No one knows how he got to Virginia on his own.
What? Did he ride it? He had to ride a train.
I'm assuming so, but no one knew why. And, like, if you can't get the 8-year-old to tell you, who's really in control here?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, he was super, yeah.
Wow.
So he continued to shuffle between his aunts and his mother between Columbus, Georgia, and various places in Florida into his mid-teens. At 16 years old, he went back to Fort Myers after having stayed with family to the house where he lived with his mom, and he found it empty. He learned that his mom was actually in Gainesville, and then he followed her there. Obviously, he became frustrated and unguided, and that's when his criminal career started. He had been charged with breaking and entering.
Wait, how old was he when this happened?
16.
So she abandoned him at 16?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Right. So he was charged with, like, breaking and entering. He's also convicted of firebombing a grocery store.
What?
That crime was probably motivated by a grudge against a shop owner who had pressed charges against Gary's mother for a bad check. Obviously, she wrote a check to feed her kid. It didn't work.
It bounced.
Pressed charges, so he Molotov cocktailed the shit out of it.
Rightfully so. No, I'm
right. In later view of events, it may also be significant that the owner was white and had racial bias, and that played a part in the crime as well.
I'm sure.
So a lot of his crimes, like, starting at 16, still involved, like, white people. Like, he didn't really target anything else.
Yeah, like,
I can't blame him,
exactly.
but I also am like,
it's not legal. It's not the right thing to do. You
shouldn't target anybody. But the kid had a head injury, which we know is, like, a common thing for all serial killers. He was malnourished. He had no nurturing. His dad wasn't around. It's like,
he's just taking direct action.
Like, I guess I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm fascinated by this man. Let's see. So, despite all of his crime and chaos, he met and courted a woman named Sheila. He was a good-looking man with a high forehead. Yep. Nope. He was a good-looking man. He liked to wear his hair in a rather large afro and often sported dark glasses, which my dad did. He had an afro and dark glasses.
But, I mean, it was the 70s.
Right.
What the fuck?
I know, but we're talking about Columbus in the 70s, so...
Indeed.
So he was taken into custody shortly after he was married. Here's where like, you get impressed, right? He escaped from jail and fled to Connecticut. Florida to Connecticut, right? From there, he contacted Sheila, and she joined her husband in Connecticut. They both lived a nomadic life, moving along the state's southern shore to Saybrook, New London, Hartford. Yay, Gilmore Girls. Bridgeport.
Oh my God.
They had 2 children born to them. In Bridgeport, Gary again ran into problems with the law. He was arrested for assaulting a police officer. And he and Sheila went across the state line to Albany, New York. And Albany, Carlton tried to embark on his career of music. He apparently had a really good voice, and he showed a lot of promise, but, like, it just didn't pan out. So,
are there videos of him singing online?
I don't think so. We can look, though. I never thought about it. Let's see. Okay, so his first victim was Nellie Farmer. She was a school teacher. She was retired, and she lived alone in a tiny retirement hotel. She was asleep when she was suddenly awakened to a man who had broken in. He raped the elderly woman. He basically violated her, causing her physical agony as well as psychic not psychic, sorry, humiliation, and then he strangled her to death with a scarf. Police found her body lying face down on the floor, and her bedclothes covered her. There had been a similar attack 2 months earlier, but the victim survived.
This is suspected to be his
right,
work as
this
well.
is when it started, right? So here we go again. We go from, like, petty crime to something else, okay? Both of the victims were women, both were elderly, and both were white. A short time later, a woman named Josephine Dietz was attacked in her home by a black male who broke in. Like the other 2 victims, she was also elderly and white. He grabbed her by the throat, slammed her into the floor, then took her purse and took off. A man apprehended for the crime was Carlton Gary, although he told them that his name was Carl Michaels. A fingerprint of his had been found at Nellie Farmer's retirement hotel lifted, and so that's how they tied them together.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Carl Michaels, here's what I don't understand about Carlton Gary, and this happens a lot. Like, he admits to, like, being present for the crimes but not contributing. So that happens a lot. He talks about it a lot. So this is the first...
He just must hang out with a bad crowd.
Right. So in these particular cases, he acknowledged that he had been in Farmer's residence when she was killed, but claimed he never touched her. He claimed that he burglarized her home while an accomplice whose name was reported as John Lee Mitchell. Also, there's a book about this. There's 2. I recommend Murder in the Peach State, not the other one by David Rose, because David Rose is, I don't know. I'll explain that in a minute. Anyway.
So a book about what? The crime, or specifically him pinning on this person?
Carlton Gary. So there's 2 books about Carlton Gary. Murder in the Peach State and The Big Eddie Club. The Big Eddie Club was released in 2007. Murder in the Peach State, I think, was earlier. But the guy who wrote The Big Eddie Club believes that racism got a man executed wrongly, and he was obsessed with Carlton Gary. Like, that was...
So he thinks Carlton Gary was
completely innocent. Yeah.
Oh.
But there's too much evidence showing that he did it. But Carlton Gary, like, is a smooth talker, apparently, because he had a lot of interviews with him. And
so they became close.
Right. And then also, people were interviewed in 2007, and he came from England. David Rose is English. So he basically come here, saw the distaste for the racism that was still running around, and felt like Carlton Gary was innocent. Because the book centers around a lot of racism in the South. Anyway.
I mean, it's a reality, though. Like, this is...
It is, and I'm not discrediting that, but Carlton Gary was...
but, like, they definitively proved he was guilty?
In several cases, yes.
Okay, I just... Knowing our...
DNA, fingerprints, teeth molding, all that stuff.
Okay,
but
we'll get into that, right?
Right, yeah, we'll get into that. Anyway, where was I? Murder in the Peach State. Read Murder in the Peach State.
Let's see. Shan't.
Murder in the Peach State is good.
I'm sure.
Okay.
But I don't read...
Oh, you don't read them. Okay.
Well, I don't read nonfiction very much.
So when they questioned why his fingerprint showed up at Farmer's apartment and not Mr. Mitchell's, who's trying to blame it on, he was like, well, he wore gloves. He was smarter than me. That was his response. Whatever. Miss Michaels, because right now he's Carl Michaels and not Carlton Gary. But Carlton Gary led them to a letter that he claimed John Lee had written. In it, John Lee talks about his involvement in the rape and murder of Nellie Farmer. I believe that they eventually showed that he wrote that, falsified it.
So did this person even exist?
I don't remember. I don't think so. All right, so here's his testimony from that. It says, while walking down the hallway, Gary relates that John put on rubber gloves. He told me not to worry about fingerprints as I had no record and they couldn't be traced. We came into the hotel room door. I noticed that when John opened John or Pop, which he was called Pop as well. I'll just say John because it's so confusing. John had some sort of material jammed in the door lock. John went in first. I followed him. John turned to me and said, check out the bathroom. The bathroom was dark. I could see John in the other room and he was holding a flashlight going through papers. I noticed the bed was all messed up. I heard some people coming down the hall. I got scared. Now, after the sound stopped, I saw John with a flashlight go over to the door and I saw John direct the flashlight to this door at the bottom, which was there was a low, big trunk. John asked me to move the trunk. When the flashlight that John was holding shone in the trunk, I noticed the head of a human being up against the trunk. The head of the human being was stretched out on the floor. I could tell this is the body of a woman, a white woman. I saw John reach down and grab the human head, mess up the bed. John started working on the lock of the trunk. There were some pots, pans, household stuff in the trunk. We searched through the stuff in the trunk. I picked up Pop's snow boots and walked out of the hotel room. I walked around and down the hallway to the elevator. John was still in the room. I waited there about 25 or 30 minutes, and then John came up State Street and joined me. Gary agreed to testify against his partner largely on the basis of that testimony. So everything he said, I read verbatim from his testimony. John Lee was convicted, so he was real.
Of the strangulation and murder?
Right. Gary later recanted his story, and John Lee had his conviction overturned on appeal.
Oh.
So everything he confessed, he took back. And he got out. Anyway.
And so they didn't try to target him for this?
Mm-mm.
Shit.
Yeah. Further investigation convinced authorities that John had nothing to do with the farmer killing. It seemed Gary had successfully escaped punishment by throwing suspicion on acquaintance. As Jordan wrote, no one ever successfully tried for the murder of Nellie Farmer, even though his fingerprints were there. So he was freed from prison in 1975, and then he went to New York. In 1976, a man broke into a 59-year-old woman's home in Syracuse, raped her, and choked her with a pillowcase. The victim survived. People would later become convinced that her rapist and attempted murderer was John Gary. I don't know why they were convinced, but I feel like I would at least look into it if I were... You know what I mean?
He was previously convicted of it. It was probably well known. Like, oh my God, it's him again. He's striking again.
Exactly.
And also, I'm sure race.
And he has the same MO. He's older white women, and he always strangled them with something in the home. A pillowcase. Eventually, he goes to stocking, scarves, things like that. He never uses his hands.
But also, I mean, that is a racist thing. Like, something similar happens, or immediately going to that black guy again.
Yes, that is racist.
Yeah, and
for sure. And this is also a racist time, so you have to keep that in mind.
Of course. Well, I just want to make sure it's.
I believe that Carlton Gary's guilty.
Well, I don't know what to believe.
100%.
I'm sure you'll convince me, but
I doubt it. I can't convince you of anything. You dig your heels in.
No, that's not true.
There's a lot of evidence.
I'm very open to anything right now, but I'm not disqualifying it just because you say this.
Right.
Like I'm gonna keep an open mind. You know, I'm not that kind of person who says, "Oh, this person's an asshole. Don't like them." I'm not gonna like them. I'm gonna give them a chance. I talk to them and get to know them.
I was also I feel like I should say this. I was also strongly influenced by my AP English teacher who recommended the book to me, who also believed that Rose had been conned by. So I was heavily influenced before I read the book. I own the book. I have it at work, actually. I would look through it all the time. Oh. I love it. Anyway, 4 days later, after this woman in Syracuse, the one that survived, so she survived, another 50...
Syracuse, New York?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because he left and went to Syracuse. After 4 days later, a 55-year-old white woman named Jean Frost is believed to have been the great misfortune of meeting Carlton Gary. She had just had a birthday, was asleep when a noise awoke her. She made out a man standing in her bedroom doorway. He jumped on top of her. She tried to escape from him, and he told her, "You shouldn't have struggled." This is her testimony. He ripped off her nightgown and shoved part of it into her mouth. Which is,
we're talking about
his penis.
His wiener.
Shh. His penis. So he basically forced fellatio on her, repeatedly and furiously, as she described. He hit the older woman in the face as she choked on him. Despite the darkness, Frost was certain she saw her attacker was a mustachioed black man. He then wrapped a scarf around her neck, choked her, and she blacked out. She also survived, but when she came to, she was aware of the extraordinary physical pain in her vagina. She was bleeding profusely. Yeah. And because of that, doctors would be unable to do a test usually done in rape cases for the presence of semen.
Because there's so much blood?
There was so much blood. He, destroyed her.
Because it was so big, or?
I don't know, but I'm sure.
She tried something in her.
So if it is a hatred of white women and a power struggle, because rape is about power.
Totally.
If she fought back, and this is an older woman fighting back, he was more upset. Yeah, this is the only one that he really beat or really hurt. Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, he literally killed the other ones, but
not yet. We haven't gotten there yet.
Well, up to this point. Up to this point,
just one. All the other ones have survived. It seemed to me that
really?
Yeah, everyone survived but one at this point. It seemed to be that he was strangling them till he blacked out and then left, because he would always show up at night when they couldn't see. I don't think he was trying to kill people at this point. I think one was an accident.
Put them in their place.
Right.
In his eyes.
Yes. So she fought back. He got mad, obviously, and fought back too.
Word.
The next day, 2 men were arrested at a Syracuse bank. They were trying to turn $191 worth of coins into cash. The coins had been stolen from men who lived in the same apartment building as Jean Frost.
Oh.
So he was burglarizing, raping, all this stuff.
The whole building, though. Shit.
Yeah. So mistake number 1, criminals, if you're listening. Don't burglarize and rape in the same building. Pick a different one.
Don't
do it,
God.
But also be smarter. In general, just be smart. One of the men arrested was Carlton Gary. Tried to resist being taken into custody. They found marijuana on him and a gold watch that belonged to Jean Frost.
Oh.
So she had already given the police her testimony. She believed that it was a mustachioed black man. Uh-huh. He got caught with coins from a guy that had gotten stolen from in the same building, and he was wearing her watch.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
kind
damning.
of hard to get away from,
Totally,
right?
that's totally damning.
Okay. So, racism aside, we're just looking at facts at this point. Okay?
Right. Facts are facts, America.
That's right.
In the world
Not
of
false
money
facts or fake facts, whatever. He told the police that his name was Carlton Michaels. We've changed our name yet again. When Gary was interrogated, he admitted that he had gone to Jean Frost's apartment complex, but he claimed he had been on the lookout for his crime partner, the same man with whom he had been arrested. Jean Frost was unable to identify Carlton Gary as the man who brutally violated her, and there was no physical evidence linking either man to the crime scheme.
Oh.
So no one was charged.
But, like, he had her fucking watch.
Well, he said that he was in the room, but it wasn't him.
But then weren't you charged for burglary?
I'm sure he was charged for burglary.
But he wasn't charged with murder or assault.
No direct physical evidence was linking either man to the crime scene. No one was ever charged with the rape and attempted murder of Frost.
Jeez.
However, since he had been caught with stolen coins, Gary had violated parole and was sent back to prison. 8 months after his return... So here's the other thing. He's a freaking escape artist. He escaped from prison.
Wow.
And then he went back to Columbus. So at this point, it's a little less than 300,000. You don't know. It's located on the Chattahoochee River. We're right next to Alabama. We're called the Fountain City because so many homes and churches have fountains.
I never knew that.
Me either.
I thought we were like Tri-City because like we were 3 cities.
Tri-City refers to like political things though, but like Fountain City is a nickname for Columbus.
I could call Savannah the Fountain City before I called.
I believe you. I'm just saying it is a nickname for us. It's like Fountain City Coffee.
I know. I never understood why it was called Fountain City Coffee until you just right now explained this to me.
Oh, okay.
I was like, okay, like Fountain City? Like, do they have a lot of like soda fountains? I've never been.
Fountain City Coffee? Oh yeah, they're great. But no, they don't have soda fountains.
It could have been like
so
that.
Like, I don't know if you know, but like the 1920s, like we were bustling. Like Columbus was like a music area. Like we were known for music and jazz, and like our city life was really good, and it wasn't until they put the highway around us that like we fell off, and that was a political move.
Oh.
Yeah. So the history of like Phoenix City, Columbus, Mario, like if you didn't live here and you really wanted to know, is really freaking interesting, especially all the crazy stuff that happened over in Phoenix City. Mm-hmm. Like that was like mob infested, crime infested, corrupt police force. Yeah. So like the history is really cool here. You should look into it because you might really like it. I know you just reside here, but act like
reside here, girl.
Well, act like you're reading about another city. So basically, at this time, Columbus, it was in the 70s. Money was good. The town was good. Rich people felt safe. Nobody locked their doors. The typical things that you hear when a serial killer comes to town. Okay. Mm-hmm. The first woman he murdered was Fern Jackson. She was an older white woman with a prominent forehead who wore her dark hair up in, like, her hair pulled back. I don't know. She was the director of education at the Columbus Health Department, and she had a reputation as a reliable employee who was dedicated to helping the people of Georgia, especially poor and racial minorities. Mm-hmm. So she was a white woman who actually, like, helped and advocated. And there's a lot of evidence to that, and wasn't white guilt. Like, she really cared. Mm-hmm. So she lived in Winton, which is the Lake Bottom area. She found, so on the night of September 15th, 1977, she found an intruder in her bedroom. He wrapped a nylon stocking around her neck and choked the life out of her. The next day, the employees of the Columbus Health Department were concerned because she didn't show up to work, and that wasn't like her. Mm-hmm. So they phoned the police, who went to her home and found her body, and they found the stocking around her neck, and there was a pillow over her face. The murder apparently gotten in and out through a window. Her home had not been burglarized. Mm-hmm. Ronald Lynn was quoted in The Murder of the Peach State, which is the book I was saying you should read. The only real sign that anything had been gone through was an open dresser drawer. But there were also black hairs that were found that did not belong to the victim. So that's the only like physical evidence they found. Mm-hmm. The texture of the hair led them to believe it was a black person. Evidence pointing to a black murder is thin, so those working the case were told not to reveal that much. The police didn't want to risk antagonizing the black community. It was a hard time between whites and blacks in Columbus. So The police were like, we're not going to get them worked up, but also don't say anything in case something else happens. We need to figure it out, which I think is pretty smart for the police department. Yeah. 5 days before the murder of Fern Jackson, another white female citizen living in the same neighborhood had been attacked. The victim survived, but was so badly injured that she remained hospitalized for almost a week later, and she's still unable to speak to the police. Jeez. So at this point, there were 2 victims. One could not speak, and one was dead. Excuse me. Jean Dimmonson was the next one. She was a friendly 71-year-old woman who wore large harlequin glasses and had her light hair styled in a series of soft waves. Before retiring, she and her brother Fred had co-owned and managed Fred and Jean's department store. She was known to dine out with her friends. She was frightened by the news about reports. These were her friends and her women and her neighbors. Mm-hmm. So on the night of September 25th, so that's 10 days later, and then 4 days before the first one, or the second one, someone took the hinge pins off of her front door, entered in her home, and punched her in the face, raped her, and strangled her to death with another nylon stocking. With the report of her murder, the elderly women of Columbus plunged into a panic. Many put locks and extra deadbolts on their doors, purchased guns. They had never owned guns before. Stakeouts were arranged throughout the area. Marked and unmarked patrol cars combed the neighborhood. Undercover police were hidden inside the homes of elderly residents who were thought to be the most likely targets. The one thing they don't say in this article, which I listened to this really funny podcast. There is a Southern couple. I'll find their name. And they just talk about crime together. They're married and they're super, super, like, Southern.
Do they talk about this crime?
For, like, 2 episodes. It's great. So one of the things that they found because I'm obsessed. One of the things they found out about this guy, people started putting, like, rudimentary alarm systems into their house. So they had, like, buttons installed that would, like, signal neighbors or signal the police station to come. So, like, if there was an intruder, they could just press a button on their nightstand and you would never know. And some of the homes still had it, like, in the 80s before they started renovating it. It was really cool.
You know what that makes me think of? Do you ever watch the Powerpuff Girls?
No.
Oh, you never did? Mm-mm. Okay, the mayor had this little red phone that anytime anything bad happened, he would just pick it up and call the Powerpuff Girls.
Like Charlie's Angels, too.
Oh,
Paul Bosley. No. Just like, press a button.
Speaking of, have you seen the trailer?
Yeah, I'm so ready.
I'm ready for it.
I have the biggest crush on Kristen Stewart.
I know, like, she's hot.
She's super hot, and I love seeing her have a super hot role, because I feel like she tries to stay away from, like, the super girly, like, I'm a sex goddess kind of thing.
Right.
So to see her as a sex kitten, I'm here for
But
her.
also a lesbian sex kitten. Like,
yeah, I think she claims to be pansexual, though.
But she's serving, like, super, like, butch vibes.
She looks really fucking hot.
She does. So I'm just, like, she's serving, like, what is it? Ruby Rose feels.
Yes!
Like, I get similar, like, big dick energy off of both of them.
Yes! I'm so excited.
I'm excited. I want to go see it, too. Like, I'm super stoked.
There's a lot of movies that Mari and I are going to talk about this year. Yeah, I want to go see that.
Someone still hasn't seen Spider-Man, but it's okay.
I will, I promise. I may watch it today with Danny, the first one anyway.
Oh, do it.
Yeah.
You own it?
It's on Netflix or Hulu or one of the two.
Is it? Maybe it is.
He's watched it before, so either we'll get it. If we're gonna have to rent it, it's not a big deal.
No pressure.
It's not like he's gonna say no. Back to Carlton Gary, sorry.
Sorry, total side note.
On October 2nd, which is, I think in like 15 days later, Jerome Levis was arrested for raping and beaten to death 55-year-old Beatrice Breyer. Breyer had been Levis's girlfriend, and she had not lived in the Wynn area. Nevertheless, there were enough similarities to the age of the victim and the brutality of the crime scene for police to suspect a connection.
Uh-huh.
On October 14th, Levis was officially announced as a suspect for the Stocking Stranglings. And he confessed to murdering Fern and Jean Demonstein.
What?
Mm-hmm.
So this wasn't a victim of the Stocking Strangler?
He claimed that he murdered them. So there's 2 schools of thought. There's some people think that Carlton Gary acted alone, or that Carlton Gary pressed him into confessing since he had already been arrested. But this is actually his girlfriend. This woman, Beatrice Breyer actually was dating Jerome Levis, and he did beat her, but he did not rape her. But they were in a relationship. But it was in the same area, and it was similar to the other crimes.
Was she a white woman?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Excuse me. Florence Scheibel. Scheibel is one of those families, too. Like, I don't think they're up there with, like, the other ones I mentioned, but they're close to it.
Never heard of it in my life.
The Scheibels, there's a couple buildings named after them. Okay, so 89-year-old Florence Scheibel. She was a Winton area senior citizen. So they had someone in custody, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
This crime happened while he was in custody.
Another one happened while he was in custody.
Dude, why would you do that?
I'm saying be smart.
Like, they're pinning it on somebody else. Go.
It was still daylight when an intruder barged into her home. He forced her onto her own bed and punched her in the face. Then he raped the woman, who was only 10 days shy of her 90th birthday.
Good fuck.
He wrapped a stocking around her throat and strangled her to death. A few hours later, her son dropped by to visit her. He found his mother dead with a pillowcase over her face and a stocking tied nightly around her neck.
Oh my God.
So everyone was calm until this happened. The Stocking Strangler was still out there. I don't want to keep reading all of them, but Kathleen Woodruff was one of them. Thurmond was one of them. Ruth Schwab Simon Schwab Library, the Schwab Center. Schwabs are big here too. They also were murdered. So they thought they had someone in custody who did it, and they didn't. What's really, really cool, and I have to find the article, one of the guys on the police force later became our chief of police.
Oh.
His mother was almost a victim.
Shit.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot going on with this guy. I don't know. Like, I just am fascinated by him. His brain is really cool.
So in terms of him being charged, like, how'd they end up catching him?
Okay, we can get there now. You want to get there now?
Yeah. You said all of them survived, though, right?
In New York, they did.
Oh, but not... Okay, when he came back.
When he came back, that was it.
Okay,
He was done.
So how many people did he kill total?
Hold on, 1 second. Maybe one... There was the one that survived that couldn't speak.
Uh-huh.
So Jean Dimenstein died. Fernie Jackson died. They don't release the name of the woman who was killed, but, like, badly beaten and couldn't speak. Florence Scheibel.
For privacy, I'm sure.
Yeah. Martha Thurmond was strangled in her home. It was also called the Chattahoochee Choker. Okay, now we're going to talk about Ruth Schwab. So there was 5 in Columbus, but 3 in New York.
Okay.
Yeah. And 2 of the 3 in New York survived.
But all 5 in Columbus died.
Yes. We'll get to Ruth, though. Ruth Schwab, she had become an executive through the death of her husband. Simon Schwab had founded Schwab Manufacturing Company in 1912. They made men's apparel. Her husband died in 1954. The presidency of his company passed to his wife. So she hadn't been active in helping operate it during her husband's lifetime, but once she took over, she did. So she had money, and she was awarded Title Woman of the Year in Columbus in 1966.
Word, good for her.
Yeah.
I love it, not when that happens, like when the husband dies, but like when women
Step up
into their husband's position and do a bomb-ass job. That's incredible.
I
agree.
Just
like, there was a president that happened with.
And so even after she sold the company, because she did, she still volunteered. She was an active runner and a jogger every day. She was like full of life, is what they said. She had a nice brick home. She had a simple homemade security system, which is what we talked about. Mm-hmm. There was a button attached to the side of her bed. The button connected with a wire that wound through her bedroom into her next door neighbor, Dr. Fred Burdett. So women all throughout this area were doing that. Ruth Schwab was assaulted on February 11th of 1978. She was assaulted in her bed. A young black male had climbed through her window and attacked her. She woke up to see him with his hand around her throat. The desperate woman pressed the alarm button. She struggled with all her might. Without speaking a word, his muscular hands wrapped a stocking around her neck. But he didn't know the alarm had gone off. Dr. Burdett called the police. The cops got to Ruth Schwab's house 2 minutes after they were called. One of the detectives, Detective Lynn, and his partner, Robert Matthews, when they approached the house, they heard sounds through an open window. These were the noises of someone gasping and gurgling through breath. They were not too late. Schwab was alive, and the Stocking Strangler was in the room with her. Lynn told the officers to around the house. The excited police officers believed they might catch their elusive murderous quarry that night. However, when they made it to Schwab's bedroom, the frightened injured woman was alone. Lynn immediately loosened the stocking, and Schwab started vomiting.
She survived?
Mm-hmm. A neighbor saw a black man running through his yard. Personnel in the ambulance summoned for Schwab had seen a black male running across the road before they got to her address. So all these people saw him, but no one put it together. Like, they just couldn't figure it out.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And so also something was concocted called the Stocking Strangler Detail.
Uh-huh.
So there were people on this task force that could never catch him, but they were assigned just to that area. So
this led to his capture?
No.
Oh, shit. So there was a survivor, though. Thank God.
Yes, there was the survivor, and also the Stocking Strangler Detail were really happy. That was a neighborhood thing, like neighborhood watch, but it was for that. They were happy that they had stopped and taken another life, because at this point, the citizens of the neighborhood were super pissed that the police couldn't figure it out.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Rightfully so. I mean,
yeah,
that's your job. But I mean, I see both sides. I'm sorry.
No, you can see both sides, but it was also hard to figure out. They had to guess at who his next victims were.
Yeah.
He's not the only serial killer that people can't pin down a pattern.
True.
Make sense?
Yeah. I mean, the Zodiac Killer still hasn't been caught, y'all.
There was another woman.
He's currently in Congress.
Went back to my man. Mildred Disputes Borum was not strangled with a stocking, but with a Venetian blind cord cut from the window of her home. Police had found a fierce struggle.
That's bougie, though.
Yeah. Especially back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been Venetian blinded. So a vigilante white supremacist group was born from this.
Oof.
They called themselves the Forces of Evil. The Forces of Evil wrote that if the police did not apprehend the Stocking Strangler by June 1st, they would murder a black woman in retaliation for what believed to be the murders of the white woman by a black man. That black woman, the letter went on to assert, would be Gail Jackson. She had already been kidnapped and was being held by the group, and she would die unless the police caught the Stocking Strangler.
Oh my God.
Investigators learned that Gail Jackson was a black woman from the nearby Fort Benning, and chillingly, she was missing. While they were still puzzling over the disappearance of Gail Jackson, the police received a second letter from the supposed Forces of Evil. They demanded a $10,000 ransom for kidnapping her. At this point, we involved the FBI.
Natch?
Yeah. Came to some startling conclusions that they felt the author or authors of the Forces of Evil letter was not 7 white men, but more likely 1 black man. The profilers believed he probably had already killed Gail Jackson. The letters were intended to divert attention away from the real killer. They predicted him to be an artilleryman or a military policeman. An excerpt of the letter stated the victims will double, led profilers to believe that he may have already been killed 2 other women. Eventually, if I remember, they did find her...
Alive or dead?
Dead.
No.
Mm-hmm. William Hance is the one who killed Gail Jackson. She was the black woman. He was a black artilleryman in Fort Benning, and he confessed to having authored the Forces of Evil letter.
Good fuck.
And he did kill 2 other women besides Gail Jackson in the name of this. But there were no links to the Stocking Strangler.
So was he doing this truly in the name of the Stocking Strangler, or was he trying to just pin this on that?
He was trying to distract away from the real murder by getting money himself. And he wanted an excuse to kill women. But he was a black man killing other black women in the name of, like, white supremacy.
That's so fucked.
Mm-hmm. See, Janet Cofer was killed. And so at this point, he went to Atlanta for a little while. Okay, so in June, Gary moved to Florida, where he started robbing restaurants again. He threatened the people there with a sawed-off shotgun and hid his face behind a bandana and large sunglasses. He's coming unhinged. Gary was back in Georgia when the police arrested him, not for murder, but for trespassing. He was in Hateville, a suburb of Atlanta. He was caught in the wee hours of the morning.
So is this when
scaling balconies? He was scaling back balconies.
Jeez.
And they found $1,478 on him.
So is this how he got caught for good?
Mm-hmm. So he told the authorities his name was Michael David. He made the small bill against him, and then for the next few months he traveled Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. He just robbed restaurants all the time. Sometimes he raped women when he was robbing. Sometimes he had an accomplice, he didn't. In Gaffney, a police officer by the name of Richard Weaver spotted a black man with a gun running out of the back of a Po Folks restaurant. Investigation revealed that Po Folks had just been robbed. They called him for assistance, and 3 hours chase with canines led to them being caught. All right, so right after the stuff in Gaffney, South Carolina, it's much more detailed than I'm going to explain it, but as Mario's pointed out to me, we're running out of time. So he basically was caught in a hotel room. I think he had a prostitute with him. He was captured there. Mm-hmm. But he had been running from the cops like his whole life now, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know why this happened, but after the robbery in Gaffney, South Carolina, that was the Po Folks restaurant, he was arrested and he confessed and was sentenced to 21 years in prison for armed robbery. He escaped custody on March 15th, 1983.
God
coincidentally,
damn.
35 years to the day before his execution. He remained at large for a year before he was apprehended again. New evidence had come to light, including the gun that was traced back to Gary and a possible fingerprint match that led the police to believe that Gary was the murderer they were looking for. Overall, Gary is alleged to have raped and or murdered 7 elderly women between 1977 and 1978 in Columbus as the Stocking Strangler. In 3 other cases, he was convicted of beating, sexually assaulting, and strangling the victims, mostly by using stockings. 2 of the survivors testified that he strangled them into unconsciousness before raping or attempting to rape them. The one Georgia survivor positively identified him as her attacker in court. However, she had previously positively identified 3 other black men as her attacker. And in her initial statement, she had indicated that it was too dark to even distinguish the race of the attacker. His fingerprints were found at 4 of the crime scenes. Mm-hmm. Gary was indicted for the murders on May 5th, 1984. He convicted on August 26, 1986, and sentenced to death the following day. Here's a controversy about him. Questions have been raised over the propriety of Gary's conviction, according to the group of supporters in a book by investigative journalist David Rose. Gary's lawyer has refused state funding to carry out a defense. There's also evidence that Gary's fingerprints were not held to match crime scene prints until 7 years after, when the case was re-examined. Despite Gary having printed 1 year after the murder, at a time when all prints in the U.S. were being compared to prints found at crime scenes. They also claim that Gary's interview, which he supposedly confessed, was not recorded nor were notes taken, and Gary's confession was written by a police officer in the days following the interview from his own recollection. When submitted as evidence, the confession was unsigned, undated, and Gary denied having made it. They alleged that Gary's semen antigen secretion did not match the perpetrator's, because you're either secretor or non-secretor when you have semen.
Like, is that like shooting or...
No, it has to do with, like, your semen itself. You either secrete something or you don't, and that's how you can identify.
Oh.
So his antigen secretion did not match some of the perpetrators. Furthermore, a cast was made of a bite mark victim. Allegedly, it did not match Gary's bite mark pattern, although it was noted that he had dental work in prison. So his teeth changed.
Oh.
His supporters claimed that the prosecution withheld this evidence at trial.
But, like, could they have changed that much?
Enough that it should have been thrown out, apparently.
Damn.
So David Rose believes that that's enough evidence to say it's not him, but David Rose is also coming from the perspective of, like, absolute racism in the South. The reason I believe that he's guilty is because he was already doing this in New York before he came down here. His fingerprints did match 4 of the 7 crime scenes that he was convicted of. And one of the judges, when he was doing his appeals, they were like, you don't have enough evidence, you know, you can't prove it was me. My fingerprints were taken a year after, but, like, they were already comparing fingerprints, so why are you trying to pin it on my fingerprints now? The judge was like, your fingerprints match 4. Even if I say that the other 3 have to be thrown out, you still match 4 of these elderly white women, and you terrorize that neighborhood, whether you did it with someone or not with someone, whether someone was helping you rape or not, you're the one that's here. So you are still going to stand for your execution based on this evidence.
Wow.
There was a judge that was like, I'm not hearing it. Because if there was no physical evidence, they wouldn't even be having this conversation. But there was physical evidence. And apparently his dental work was enough. Some people even speculate that his attorneys had him do the dental work so that it wouldn't match because the cast was on after.
Oh.
But here's the thing about Carlton Gary. He started doing crime at a very, very young age. His fingerprints did match. He had done this in New York. I fully believe that he did it. Mm-hmm. And you have to read the book to really get into it, but I'm obsessed.
This is like your John Benjamin.
I can talk about Carlton Gary for hours. And Mario was like, and I was like,
well, I don't mean to rush you or anything.
To say, though.
I mean, we can always revisit it later.
No, God, no. No one else is obsessed like me. It's fine. Anyway, the fact that someone else was arrested and held for the crimes during this time, the guy I previously mentioned, that could have been my dad.
Right. And is that what originally got you into the crime?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
My dad was dating my mom, and he made a joke about the Stocking Strangler, and I was like, what? And I used to think it was the Stocking Strangler. Like, I'm stalking you and I'm going to strangle you.
That's what I thought you were saying when you first told me.
Good. I'm not the only one. So when I started reading about it, it's actually the Stocking, like, pantyhose strangler.
Uh-huh.
I was like, a pantyhose? What? And then from there, it's just... him. I was obsessed with him, and I was obsessed with,
the Scranton Strangler?
Yes, of course.
It's fucking Toby.
I know. You've told me your theories.
You've read my theories.
I have. I kind of agree with them. Anyway, who's the other guy? John Wayne Gacy. I'm obsessed with John Wayne Gacy.
He's so scary.
I know, but I'm obsessed with him. I've seen this scary made-for-TV movie where he's that terrifying clown. Ugh. Anyway.
I have chills right now. I can't.
That's the Stocking Strangler and Carlton Gary. And he does look like my dad, but my dad was too young. This man was already like a man. My dad was in his teenage years. But he always looks older than he is. Mm-hmm. My dad's a good-looking man, too. But he's a gentle soul. He could have never done it.
I'm totally joking. I'm just giving her a look like sure,
like, my dad is so respectful, and this is how it should be, is that, like, they lived on the top floor of our house. I lived on the bottom floor, and his bedroom was on one side with my mom, and, like, our bathroom and bedroom had its own, like, private doors. If we were taking a shower, my dad wouldn't even leave his room. He's such, like, a...
What?
Yeah, he was like, nope, I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. These girls are teenagers now, because by the time they got married, I was a teenager.
Oh, okay. But, like, you totally embraced him and liked him.
Yeah,
so.
I totally love Margot. Better than some of the other men she dated.
Oh, understandable.
Yeah. Except for the guy that gave me all the Chronicles of Narnia books. I liked him the most.
Oh, my gosh. So, total, like, because you bring this up, you know how a lot of people criticize him for making Susan the one who did not die at the end?
What the fuck are you talking about? Susan.
Of Chronicles of Narnia.
Sorry. Yes. Okay. My bad.
So a lot of people, like, say it's, like, this big slight against women. It's this big slight against women.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people view it that way. Like, it's a huge Tumblr thing. Like, he hated, or, like, this is just him showing, like,
I have
women...
no merit in Tumblr.
Huh?
I have no merit in Tumblr.
Oh, I've been on Tumblr for, like, too long. But anyway, I have 1,500 followers, girl. I'm feeling myself, okay? But no, they
think it's a slight towards women?
Yes, because, like, how he writes it in the books, like, oh, she was too worried about lipstick and what have you for, like, to be, like, a member of pretty much the church. Like, because it's all an allegory, and essentially they died and went to heaven, and she did not die or go to heaven because she stopped believing in it, because she saw it as kids' tales. But people thought, oh, it's like him criticizing women for being... I'm
sure there's some of that in there, but I also think it's a cautionary tale.
I was reading something, and it made a very good point, and it kind of, I don't know, it changed my view on it, because he's a born-again Christian, so he left the church and did not come back to it until he was in his 30s. And so some people are interpreting it as he's giving her his story. And so eventually she will come back to the church and be able to go to the land of Aslan to be with her family, but she's going to go on his journey versus him criticizing women. So I was just like, okay, I actually really like that, and I'm going to stick with that, even if it's not true.
I like it.
I think it's a lot more beautiful, because when I first found out about Susan, because Susan was my favorite, and when I first found out what he wrote...
Of course. I can totally see that. I like Susan too, though. And
so, like, when I first read that and, like, saw that that's how it happened with her and whatever, I was very, like, oh, like, I mean, I'm glad she didn't die, but...
Yeah. My cat's name was Aslan because of the Chronicles of Narnia.
See, I'm really excited for his Dark Materials, which is, like, the anti-Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
But, like, it has, like, Mr. Tumnus as Lord Asriel. Like, it's James McAvoy.
I'm excited. I love so James McAvoy.
Me too.
I'm a huge fan.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. Now, this is kind of a good lead into things that influenced us as a child.
Absolutely.
Because media and... I mean, Chronicles of Narnia didn't really influence me in the way that other things did. But...
No, but I did appreciate, like, escaping into a world that I wasn't allowed to be in.
Absolutely.
And my mom's boyfriend knew that and gave me the books anyway.
See, that's a good guy.
Yeah.
That's a good guy.
He was also a musician.
What happened to him?
He was white. I don't think my mom. I don't know. He was, like, a little bit nerdy. He was more my taste, I think.
White and nerdy.
Yeah. We don't talk about Weird Al in this house.
Really?
No, I can't stand him.
Really?
Yeah.
So you didn't like that whole My Bologna in Stranger Things 3?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
I was actually offended that they put that in there.
How? It was like they even brought up New Coke. Of course you're going to bring up Weird Al.
I think he's intellectual property stealing, and he's making fun of other people's work, and I don't like that.
But I mean...
Like, if I was a singer and Weird Al made a song, like, I would not be okay with it. I'd be like, why don't you make up your own cheesy shit?
I'd be here for it. I'd be honored.
I don't like it. I'm not a Weird Al girl. I'm a little too serious for that.
Understandable.
Stick in the mud.
So speaking of sticks in the mud, no joking. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic. I hope this added a little bit of levity at the end, and
I feel
this whole conversation
talking about Carlton Gary. It wasn't heavy at all. I love him.
Work. I'm glad.
It's my favorite story.
Really?
Yeah, I
like more than Beauty and the Beast and like all those other stories.
I love the Carlton Gary story. I mean, this guy like eluded white police officers, and like no one could catch him. And,
so you got a little bit of respect there.
Yeah, just a little bit, because he outsmarted everybody.
He really did though. Like he's fucking good.
Like I know I cut it short, but like he escaped police so many times before he was caught. At least 4 times after his last.
Like
murder.
Ted Bundy, who.
Yeah, like he was. I don't know. He doesn't get enough notoriety, and I would watch the made-for-TV movie.
I'm sure they'll make one eventually.
Carlton Gary would be played by. Not Denzel Washington.
Okay, girl, that's racist.
Not Samuel L. Jackson. No, he needs to be paid by a black man. It's crucial to the
Well, of course, but I'm saying you don't like everybody's like, oh, Denzel can do it. Denzel can do it.
No, I'm saying
everybody just immediately goes to Denzel.
But I'm saying he can't do it. I need a less well-known actor.
An unknown.
Yeah, I would want an unknown, someone with the chops to shine. Okay, I'm ready to talk about stuff that influenced me. Go.
Work.
Mario.
I feel like does every second segment have to start with that?
I feel like I have to do it.
Because that happened last week.
Tell me about what influenced your life, honey.
Life did. No. So this week, like there's this podcast, they kind of stopped doing it, but I think it was released by NPR, but essentially This Movie Changed Me. And they just talk about a single movie that influenced their life or just had a big impact on them growing up, or just now that just really changed their perspective on things. So I wanted to talk about that, and she really liked the idea.
Oh, I loved it.
So
perfect.
I feel like we should do one, I do one, then you do one, then I do one.
Yeah, that's what I was
okay, because like sometimes usually I'll do like one of us will go all and the other one will.
Let's go back and forth.
So like my first movie that heavily influenced me growing up was Legally Blonde. Like it introduced me to the concept of feminism. Although it wasn't blatant, there's a lot of very feminist tones in it.
Like it's pretty blatant.
Well, I don't think they say, oh, we're feminists and this and that. But like, because I didn't understand what it was, I just figured, you know what, this is right. This is how women should be treated. Women are perfectly capable. You should not put down other women. Like that was one of the biggest things that stood out to me.
Yeah, there was no cattiness until what's her name was introduced.
Until Selma Blair.
Yeah.
But like, I also loved, like the thing that like really stood out to me was when Elle has the opportunity to insult her, and she's like, well, she's not totally unfortunate. She could use like some makeup or whatever, but she's actually not bad. Like she's refusing to put down the woman and stoop to that level. And that just really stood out to me and made it, I don't know, this movie click that this is a really important movie, at least to me. And I really agree with a lot of the things it's presenting. Now, Legally Blonde 2. No, I'm excited about Legally Blonde 3 because the original people who made Legally Blonde 1 are coming back to write and produce and everything.
Well, the only reason I'm excited is because what she said was like, in a world where Trump exists,
exactly,
we need Elle Woods. I agree.
Exactly.
I love Legally Blonde. I wouldn't say it shaped my life. Like, I agree with Mario in the sense that like that's how women should treat each other. But I've always kind of believed that. Well,
as a man, I never had that perspective in the way that maybe you have been.
No, I didn't experience that till I was an adult. But, like, that's how I thought it should always be. I'm not big on, like, talking down to other people. I don't think you should take low blows in arguments. There should never be, like, name-calling. There should never be, like, me criticizing you. Like, if I'm mad at you, I'm going to be like, and you look like shit today. Like, that's not...
Do I? And I'm
no, you look amazing.
I don't. But it's fine.
Sex on a stick over here.
Stop.
No, but I don't agree. I agree with what you're saying, but I've always felt that way.
And then also, it just taught me about perseverance, you know, like just seeing her, like everybody doubted her. Everybody looked down on her, like did not take her seriously. Her parents laughed in her fucking face. Like,
oh my God, her mom used to get on my nerves.
And then she was fucking like valedictorian or whatever at the end. Like,
although I did love her mom's nails in the pool. They were so long. I was here for it.
Oh my God.
You were Miss Tropic Bikini. And I was like, her nails.
Well, that's for boring people. Like, I quote that movie a lot. Like, also, if...
He does. A lot.
No, one of my favorite things about it, my mom likes the movie a lot, but she hates the end when she's giving her speech, and at the very end...
Why?
She just hates... At the very end of her speech, she just pauses, and she just goes, we did it! But, like, in the most, like, high-pitched voice ever... So periodically, like I have it saved to my phone, just that clip. So anytime like my mom and I complete something, I'll just randomly text it to her and she rolls her eyes because
I love it.
She knows that I know that she hates that part.
Aww.
But I really love that movie. It really inspired me a lot and made me see things differently and through a more, I guess, feminist lens.
For sure.
Now, what is your first movie?
I can't pick first, so I love them all equally.
This isn't a ranking. This is just the first one we wrote down on my list.
Okay, so we all know that I'm obsessed with M. Night Shyamalan. I have loved his movies since Unbreakable, but Lady in the Water shaped my life. Not The Shape of Water, but Lady in the Water. Because it started out as a bedtime story that he turned into this like fantasy fan fiction kind of like novel put in a book or put in a movie. So essentially what it is
it's very Tolkien and very...
Oh my God, it's so good. There's this creature that Paul Giamatti has found and he's trying to figure out what her purpose is. It turns out she's like the queen of her people and her role is to complete the story of a human who's going to be, she's the queen, so she's going to bring out like a very important human. And M. Night Shyamalan plays the role of a guy who's just writing a book about his thoughts, but he's been told that in the future his book will bring a lot of change into the world and will influence a young man who eventually becomes the leader of the United States. And his policies will be based on that book. So it's essential that that book gets out to the public. It's essential that he finishes. And he hasn't been finishing. He's had writer's block until he meets her. And then meeting her allows him to finish the book. But the other cool part of that, like, I love the idea that everyone has a role to play. And I believe that. But also in this apartment building, there's all these different people and personalities living there, and they each have a role to play in getting her back to her people. Because if she doesn't go back to her people, the story's not completed. And they misinterpret the prophecy and then have to rearrange it at the last minute to get her home safely. And it's just like this beautiful story of people working together and not believing in things and then believing in things and then like fulfilling your destiny. I don't necessarily believe in destiny, but I would like to believe in destiny. So this movie like shaped me a lot. Like I will take time out of my day to be like, this didn't happen. I really wanted it to happen, but that's okay because maybe something else is going to happen. Like it's okay if it didn't work out. So that movie became like a bedtime story to me. I used to watch it falling asleep almost every night.
Aww.
It's such a good M. Night movie.
I haven't seen it. Maybe I need to watch it.
Good.
I need to watch it. Do you have it on DVD? Can I borrow?
I do have it on DVD. Yeah, you can borrow it.
Okay, I'll watch it.
It's like really just inspiring, and it's a feel-good, like fantasy fiction kind of. I don't know. It's different than anything else that I love to watch, but everything about that movie, like people working together, and there is a purpose in life, and maybe your purpose in life isn't to uphold like someone else's role, right? So we're trying to get him to finish his book for the future leader, but also in order to be finished, the people he's working around right now have to help get this creature home. And it's just like, I don't know. Bryce Dallas Howard's in it.
She's the lady.
She's
the titular lady.
Paul Giamatti's incredible in it.
I cannot stand him.
Oh my God.
Have you seen Big Fat Liar?
No.
He ruined him for
I
me.
have, but he's terrible. But Paul, in that movie, I don't like it. But Paul Giamatti's a really, really good actor.
I'm sure.
So have you not listened to my Favorite Murders book?
No, I haven't.
He's in it. Like he actually reads parts of it.
Oh, word.
Because she's always talking about him.
Yeah, she's a big fan.
Yeah, and he reached out to her, and she almost said "fuck you" because she thought it was a joke, and then she realized
it was him.
It was him, and so he actually came on and like read parts of the book for the audiobook.
That's amazing.
And he's just good. If you haven't seen Lady in the Water,
so like if we become famous and podcasters, and we have to have a celebrity come and read our book,
M. Night Shyamalan.
It's M. Night Shyamalan. Okay. I don't know who's
Casey Holmes.
Mine's Sandra Bullock.
Oh my God, I would die.
I love Sandra Bullock so much.
Yeah.
2 of my movies are Sandra Bullock movies.
Are they? Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. I love her so much.
All right, what's your next one?
So my next one is Miss Congeniality. And
I've seen it like 1,000 times.
I have seen it more times than you. I literally watched this movie so many times the DVD stopped working. So I have another DVD of it, and I got the second one with it because it was a 2-pack. So I have the movie still. I don't watch it nearly as much as I used to. I really should. I have it digitally though now.
It's so good.
It's so good. But also, like, when I saw this, I was 11, and I took myself way too seriously. And so I was the most like strict, like I have to study, I have to do it this way, it has to be right, I cannot have fun kind of person.
He's still like that.
I am not.
I'm kidding, you're not.
Oh my God.
You're not. You're a very carefree person.
Oh, I'm not carefree.
You are.
I when work needs to be done, I will get it done.
That doesn't mean you're not carefree.
Well, I have a lot of worries. I'm too anxious to be carefree.
Sure. Okay. I guess I'm judging you based off my anxiety scale, and I feel like I have a carefree personality.
I'm just really good at hiding my anxieties.
Yeah, same.
I compartmentalize.
All right, tell me about Sandy.
Just one day I'm gonna pop. No. So with this movie, like I'm also been a very much an individual. Like I'm going to be who I am. You're not going to change me. Like my father tried to change me so much growing up.
Yes. And
so it got to the point where I was like so stubborn, nothing you could tell me could change me. And so with this movie, if you don't know Miss Congeniality,
you have to watch it.
But if you don't know, essentially this really like for the job FBI agent has to go undercover in a beauty pageant and stop a terrorist attack.
She's so good in it,
and
too.
It's so good. She's so good. Like,
and it's so funny.
It's so funny. The end makes me cry.
Oh yeah, I really do.
Do you want world peace? Exactly. I quote that all the time whenever I don't know what to say, and people are like, It's like, and I really do want world peace, and they're just like, what the fuck? But it gets the conversation going again.
Losers. Shit is
No,
hilarious.
but in the movie, like, you see her character, and she's a very serious person. She takes it very, like, herself pretty seriously.
She's an
and
FBI agent, and she's a female. Of course she takes herself seriously.
exactly, because men aren't going to take her seriously.
Right.
And so, feminism again. Like, you know what I think 4 of my 5 things are very feminist.
Vaginas hooray.
Vaginas hooray. The title. No.
But my favorite, one of my favorite scenes in that movie, I relate to so hard, when they're all like trying the dresses on digitally.
Oh my god, I love that scene.
And she's like catcalling with them. She's like,
he could play the Stocking Strangler.
Oh yeah. Who, Benjamin Bratt?
No, the chief.
He could. Talk to me. We'll get a movie deal.
She's gonna pen the screenplay.
He could perfectly play. You're absolutely right.
He could. He totally could. But I love it when she is going along with it.
She's like, oh yeah, look at that. That's right there. And I just love how like she's more comfortable around men than women, because I relate to that.
See, I'm more comfortable around women than men, so I relate to it in reverse. We don't like. I love it.
That's why I love gay men.
I love it when she goes to the bar and she's like, I need a pint. And she's like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, hit me big time, baby. And it's ice cream and not alcohol. And that always just made me smile.
No, when that girl walks away and she's still eating ice cream, is like in her mouth, and she's chewing with her mouth open. She's like, right back to ya.
Have
like,
fun at the mall.
I do that all the time to each other. It's a great fucking movie.
Oh my god. Or anytime.
If you haven't seen this movie, you're, wow.
Anytime anybody's like chewing gross and talking, and it's like, I'm sorry, I was distracted by the half-masticated cow rolling around in your wide-open trap.
It's such a good movie. I like that she pulls the donuts out of every nook and cranny of her dress because she's hiding them. I don't know. It's a good
donut
movie.
Nazi. And I love that movie. But also, it showed me you don't have to take life so seriously.
Yeah.
And also, be open to new experiences and allow them to change you if it's for the better, you know? Because she realized, okay, I was looking at this in a very, honestly, a misogynistic way in terms of beauty pageants and what beauty pageants are. Because, I mean, yes, there is a layer of misogyny because you're literally being judged by men oftentimes.
I'm not for it.
I'm not really here for it, but at the same time, it does broaden a lot of women's horizons. It does fund a lot of their experiences in life. They're able to go to college off of this. They're able to use it for charity organizations, what have you. So, I mean, I may not 100% agree with that lifestyle.
We're allowing women to do work after we judge them based on their bikini contest. Yeah. Probably.
Well, that's why they've gotten rid of the bikini.
Yeah, but like
contest
last year.
But it's still changed. It's happening. It's slow. It's in old established things like that. It's always slow.
You know what
change.
I want? I don't want a beauty pageant. I want a science fair.
Make it happen.
I would.
But regardless, she learned that like these people are good people. They genuinely want to change the world positively, and they're just trying to help their communities. Mm-hmm. And she's not going to harshly judge them for how they go about doing it.
And I love Miss Texas.
Oh my god, I have gifs and clips of her on my phone right now of her getting punched in the fucking face, and then at the end where they're clapping and like she has to hold her nose because it hurts.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love Miss Texas.
I love Miss New York too.
Oh yes, I want to let all the lesbians out there. If I can make it to the top 10, so can you, baby. Tina, I love you, baby.
I love you too.
Can we say lesbians? You got a problem with that? But I can literally quote this movie forever.
The movie's so good.
I
agree with Mario. It is about like not taking yourself too seriously and opening your horizons.
Exactly. And I really needed to see that because I wasn't going to listen to my parents at this time. This was definitely around the time where I was shutting myself off to my parents for being gay, expecting them to throw me out because a lot of gay media was showing that when you come out from gay, your parents are going to kick you out and you have to figure out how to live. And I didn't want it to hurt as bad, so I was just...
You were cutting it off.
I was cutting it off. And so...
Throwing that wall up.
And so I wasn't going to listen to my parents when they said, like, you can't take life so seriously, or it's really not that important, like, you can move on from this. And so Sandy got through to me.
I'm still watching Lady in the Water tonight.
I'm still watching Miss Congeniality.
Okay, so...
Or Practical Magic, which you're going to talk about later.
Oh, I love Practical Magic.
All-time fave. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to do TV show really quick. I need to talk about Gilmore Girls.
Work.
Gilmore Girls shaped my life. I didn't start watching until it was after maybe 4 seasons in, I think. And I think my boyfriend at the time bought me like season 2 on disc because he assumed I was already watching it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. I related to it because I still do not have the relationship with my mom that I think I should. Mm-hmm. And I'm accepting that. And I'm accepting that about my life. But I relate to Lorelai a lot in the show. and how, like, even though she had a shitty relationship with her parents and, like, she never felt heard, never felt understood, had to go out and do it on her own. I very much did that at 18 years old. I very much relate to that. But also, her having a daughter and, like, breaking that cycle. Yeah. And, like, being okay with her daughter no matter what she does and having a good relationship.
A very good relationship.
Yeah.
They're best friends.
Right. And so I crave that. Like, I always knew if I had a daughter, it would be like that. And then also there is one season where Lorelai and Rory aren't speaking because Rory basically, like, breaks down and Lorelai's trying to be a parent. Anyway, I love that show so much because of the relationship between the mothers and the daughters. I feel like it healed me a little bit, and then also, like, keeps me in check in reality for what's coming with Madeline.
Yeah.
Like, one of these days I'm going to have to drop kick her, like I'm assuming. But, some people say I speak like Lorelai Gilmore, like the way that I talk and the jokes that I make that no one gets and everyone just kind of ignores me. So I do very much feel like Lorelai Gilmore a lot of the time. I relate heavily to her character.
Sure.
And then also not ever wanting to be committed and
I know.
just, like, sleeping around. Like, that was me. You know? I had issues with commitment.
With her, like, Jessica thinks I hate this show. I don't hate the show.
You hate Lorelai, though.
I don't hate Lorelai. I'm frustrated with Lorelai.
I think you're taking your experiences with your sister out on the character.
I am.
And, like, the character's different than your sister.
And I understand that, but it's still no less frustrating.
No, I'm okay with it.
Because I super sympathize with her mother. Like, Emily is my favorite character from the Gilmore Girls.
Emily's my favorite character, too, but I relate to Lorelai.
No, I understand.
Emily's a great fucking character,
She's
though.
good. She's so layered. She has so many different dimensions, and she has so many obligations and
But
and
also,
what
I
have
have
you.
parents that are kind of like that and have, like, old-fashioned expectations, and they're not okay with new realities of world, and they try to still force that on their children who are very much the complete opposite of that. And so I have issues with that. So even though I love Emily and I've learned to laugh and appreciate Emily, I still relate to Lorelai. And that's why I think the show healed me, though.
No, I can understand that because I think a lot of kids, like myself included, feel like they don't have the relationship with their parents that they want. And seeing such a positive relationship as Rory and Lorelai is very, like, heartwarming and nice. And that's what I really like. I watched like 4.5 seasons of that show. Like, I enjoyed that aspect of it. It's just as it progressed and Lorelai kept pushing herself further away from her mother, when her mother is genuinely just coming to you saying, look, I want to spend time with you.
You never finished.
No, I watched A Year in the Life because...
No, you need to finish the seasons.
Why? Because, like, do they end up getting a better relationship?
Yeah, and Lorelai, you would be very proud of her in, like, one of the last scenes.
Of the last season?
Of the last season. And then also, like, Luke and Lorelai, when they finally do, like, break up, like, supposedly for good, she leans, like, heavily on her mom. Yeah, and there's even a moment where they, like, get drunk together and talk. Now, Emily goes right back to being, like, a frigid person the next day, but, like, you can tell she let her walls down and, like, really spoke vulnerably. You gotta finish.
Maybe I will.
At least try.
I did try.
You're gonna get really frustrated with Rory, though.
Oh, I know some of the shit she does.
Yeah, you're gonna. But then, like, it all does come back in full circle, and it's really, really beautiful.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it another chance. It's just I have a lot of issues that happened with my family, with my sister. And my sister pulled a lot of the things Lorelai did, but was not nearly as respectful about it. Because, I mean, Lorelai did just up and leave, but at the same time, she swallowed her pride.
To be fair, though, she made a life for herself, became independent.
She did. No, absolutely. Totally. Yeah. My sister, not so much.
That's what I'm saying.
So, like... And also just seeing things from my mother's perspective and how it's hurt her. Yeah. Because my mother just genuinely wants to be there for my sister and loves her and is forgiving of anything she's done because she just...
But if that's the case, then it's nothing like Emily and Lorelai.
Well, no, but in the sense that she loves her daughter and wants a relationship with her, despite the daughter not wanting. Not even on her terms.
No,
Emily does want on her terms. And I get that, too.
But, like, whereas I think your mom is not like that.
Maybe not, but I still relate because I just see a mother struggling who wants to love her daughter. And, of course, like, you have to be fair. She grew up in, like, Emily grew up in a very, like, high society sort of things. Things were done a certain way. Yeah. She had the dad's mother treating her like shit their whole marriage. Like, there's so many layers to her. Yeah. And you understand why she is the way that she is. And it's not an excuse, but you at least get perspective, you know?
That's why you need to finish watching.
Maybe I will. It's just I got so frustrated. And also, when I was watching that show, a lot of the shit with my sister was happening at that time.
Mario.
It could have been. It could be.
I don't think all the parallels are there that you see are there. The parallels for me and Lorelai, like, there's so many. But, like, Lorelai and Emily versus, like, your mom and your sister, it's not the same.
I don't know. I saw a lot of the things similar. But, of course, I've experienced it. I've seen it firsthand.
Lorelai left, became independent, did things on her own. You can't say that about your sister.
Well, no, of course not. Of course not. But what I'm saying is...
your mom is different from Emily.
She is. Well, I don't know. She has a lot of similarities to Emily, though.
Right, but, like, she would
my mom is super
embrace
judgmental.
your sister with open arms. Just come back into my life.
Probably. My dad would not. But, but what I'm saying is my mother is super judgmental. My mother is very... She's a Libra, so she cares what everybody thinks about her.
My mom is an Aquarius and doesn't act like one.
Really? So she doesn't talk a lot?
No.
I find like...
She's not very social.
That's so weird, because usually, I don't know, of course it's not real, but fucking Aquarius is...
No, my mom is like a conundrum. Is she an Aquarius?
What's her birthday?
February 9th.
She's probably, because 16th is an Aquarius.
She's an Aquarius.
My sister's an Aquarius, and she doesn't know how to shut the fuck up.
My dad's an Aquarius too, because he was born on the 4th and nothing. They're nothing like Aquariuses.
Atypical Aquarians.
Yeah.
I don't know, when does Aquarius... Let's look up when to Aquarian. Because watch it be like, my sister's a cusp, and she's like an Aquarian.
Maybe my mom is a cusp.
Aquarius...
Because if my dad is a Capricorn, that kind of makes sense to me.
No, Aquarius pools, what the fuck? Sorry.
It's a business in town.
Is that?
Yeah.
Stock of my life, Google, I don't approve. January 20th to February 18th. So no, my sister is a cusp. Yours are not.
They're Aquarius.
They're full-blown Aquarius.
Yeah, they don't act like it at all. My mom's not even, like, free-spirited and nothing like that. Neither is my dad.
Dang.
It's so weird.
But also religion could have had a tamper on that. Because they're both extremely...
I'm a typical fucking Gemini. Like, if you look up Gemini, you're going to see my face.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't heard, like, I've always felt like Gemini, or I've always heard that Geminis are very, like, they have two sides.
We do have two sides, but that doesn't mean we're backstabbers.
Well, I didn't expect a backstab from you. I just expected to see, like, a completely different side and be like, oh, I wasn't ready for this. But I feel like everything I've seen with you has been very genuine.
Oh, I don't let that side out.
Oh, okay, good.
Don't
show me that. I'm joking. I won't trust you again.
You gotta, like, really get that side of me to come out. And that's like a full anger moment. She only comes out when I'm angry.
Okay. I haven't seen you mad.
But, like, I will say that I can say something to you about somebody, and then I can go and say that to them with the same intentions, but without hurting their feelings.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, like, shady and weird, but, like...
No, I get that, too. Like, I do that, too. Like, I can... Like, I'll talk mad shit about somebody, but at the same time, if I feel like somebody needs to hear it, I'm going to tell it, but I'm going to tell it in a way that's not going to hurt you.
So I feel like that's the two-sidedness so that people talk about Geminis. But I am a typical fucking Gemini.
Okay.
I have mood swings.
Work. I mean, I have bipolar, sort of, so I have mood swings.
God, you're always trying to one-up me, Mario.
Oh,
okay. Is it my turn or your turn?
Am I really?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was a joke.
Well, no. I get told that sometimes, so I was just like, I don't want to...
No.
Okay. I have to keep myself in check sometimes.
Mario, you do not do that. Who told you that?
A couple people, like, am I like just like, oh, you always have to, you always have to.
Insecure.
Maybe I know. It's just like, oh, you always have to be smarter. Or you always have to know more.
Well, you do know more.
I do, but they always think I'm just trying to show them up, but I'm not.
That's an insecurity of theirs.
Maybe
You're a wonderful, intelligent person, and you should show that to the world. Anyone that wants you to dim your light is not your friend.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. It was a joke. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that it was like a... That's because you don't know shit. Shh. No, I'm sorry. That was a joke that I do not realize was in poor taste.
Well, no, it's fine. It's totally fine.
I said mood swing. You said bipolar. And I was like, God, it was a joke.
Okay, cool. No, it's fine. It's totally fine. Like, I understand. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't.
No, you're not.
It's an insecurity of mine.
You shouldn't listen to that if someone tells you that.
I know.
They're not your friend. They don't love you. If I'm smarter, recognize it.
Well, I guess.
Anyway, it's your turn. I love Gilmore Girls, and I like the year in life. But I stand Amy Sherman-Palladino
She does.
So hard. So.
She has a tattoo of her on her left arm. I'm joking.
I would never tattoo my arms.
I probably wouldn't either. I don't know.
I only have them on my back.
If I had, like, buff arms, I'd consider it.
No, I don't want... Like, if I wear something strapless, I want my arms to be the beauty.
Well, I don't wear strapless shit because I'm a guy. But I'm planning on getting, like, a portrait of my cat on my arm.
You should. Oh,
like,
Ricky.
Like, yeah, no, it'd be super cool. Like, I'm here for it. Like, I need to just design it. But anyway, My next movie is like a really obscure movie. It's a gay movie. It's called Shelter.
I want to hear about this.
So it's just about this guy who's like an artist in California, like living with his family, and he's helping his sister take care of her kid because she got pregnant, like in high school or whatever. And she's just kind of like relying on him to pretty much be a father figure. And he's like been dating this girl for the longest time, but they keep breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together, whatever. But like he like ends up hanging out with his best friend's older brother, who's like an author, and realizes, okay, he caught feelings for him, and like they fall in love, whatever. But he kind of pushes away and tries to sabotage it because he doesn't just feel like he deserves happiness, I guess. But also he feels an obligation to his nephew because he does see his nephew almost as his own. And pretty much at the end of the movie, like, they have a happy ending, which is very unheard of at this time for gay movies, because a lot of gay movies
were tragic.
Like, they're tragic, or like something really awful happens and it shapes the person for the rest of their life, and they're able to move out past from it. And which, I mean, of course, that's going to happen to you.
I like those kind of movies, period.
What, happy endings, or like things where it
I
scars
don't
you?
like a happy ending.
Oh, see, I love a happy ending because I feel like there's so much negativity and sadness in the world. I just want something to escape from and enjoy it, because I take on emotions of people I don't know, you know?
Yeah,
like watching
reality.
Like Precious fucked me up.
I told you I didn't watch it.
It's like movie, like I just can't do that. So with this, it was just really nice to be able to, and also to see the idea of like an actual family, because like in the end, like he pretty much adopts his nephew, and him and the guy go off and move on, and he goes to art school. Like, just the idea of a gay family like that wasn't really presented to me at that time. So it was important to me. It opened my eyes about what it meant to be gay and what it could mean to be gay.
Yeah.
And
possibilities.
Exactly. And his family outright didn't like disown him or anything. Like, she wasn't like his sister wasn't happy about the situation, but she was more unhappy about her son being raised by two men as opposed to
like the nuclear family idea.
Yeah, like she wanted that, but at the same time, she's fucking like moving away to go be with the latest squeeze and move to like Oregon or something.
So you don't really get an opinion.
Exactly. So I mean, it was just a good movie. I enjoy it. It's like super. Like, I don't know if you'd like it, just because it's just like a romantic movie, and you don't like romance, and I love romance. But if you haven't seen it, it's like, if you like gay movies,
still watch it, though,
you can watch it. You don't have to. No pressure.
I would.
But it really shaped me in the sense that it opened my eyes to what's possible and what I could aspire for. Because, like, honestly, like, even then, that wasn't gay marriage. Like, when gay marriage was legalized, I, like, had, like, a whole, like, moment. Because I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't expecting it. Like, people have all these plans.
She and I were texting each other all day. She was waiting for the...
I was crying in my car at work.
Yeah.
Because, like, I didn't expect it. Like, it was just so shocking to me. Like, I didn't even know what was happening.
It didn't feel like it wasn't going to happen.
Exactly. So I wasn't even following it. And then, like, I load up CNN and gay marriage is legalized. And I was like, what the fuck? And so, like, I kind of had to really reevaluate my life and what I want for myself in my life. Do I want a wedding? Do I want, like... to get married.
You never considered that would be a possibility.
Exactly.
You never thought about it.
And so now that it is, like, that was a huge deal. So, like, this kind of opened that door, you could say. Now, what is your next one?
I was just trying to think of all the ones that I've said. I said Lady in the Water.
Interstellar. What Dreams May Come.
I didn't say Interstellar.
Harry Potter.
Oh, okay.
Gilmore Girls.
All right. Let's do Harry Potter.
Okay. Oh, my God. Let's do Harry Potter. We might have to do a second recording. We're already 30 minutes into this one.
Okay. So, I would say I grew up in a home where literally Harry Potter books are contraband.
What?
I had to sneak my sisters into the Harry Potter movies.
No.
Or I would have to buy them on DVD, wait for everyone to go to sleep. My sisters and I would pop them into our computer, and like we would watch them at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Aww.
Because my parents didn't allow like witchcraft or anything like that. And of course, all the blogs were aflutter with the evils of Harry Potter and Voldemort being Satan.
And then he ended up being a Jesus allegory.
Right. So... just want to throw that in there really quick. So when we finally got to the last two, and I should say that Harry Potter as a whole shaped me.
Of course.
But we picked movies, and so the last 2 movies brought forth the last book for me, which was an amazing book. But I also really appreciate like a realistic, dark sense of life, because I have a very dark, twisted sense of life. And the last 2 movies were dark as fuck.
They really were.
They were dark. Ron left them. Harry struggled.
Still haven't forgiven him.
They forgave him, but like they struggled. Okay, I know.
You can choke.
Okay. I'm okay with it if they're okay with it.
Hermione deserved better.
Hermione was tortured. These are the realities of their lives, and they were just trying to help other people. And so the moral for me was like, doing what is right is not always popular, but you have an innate sense to do what is right. And your life may not be perfect and rainbows and sunshine. You may not get your moral platitudes for doing what is right all the time, but like you still have to do it. This intense like fight to never give up and do what's right. Like that speaks to me as a person. I've always been that kind of person. So in a movie form, to watch that like made me feel like,
it validated you.
Yeah, it does. It validates you. And it's like, he fought with his best friend and his, he was almost killed several times and basically was groomed to take over Voldemort. And it just
groomed to die,
but he still had to do what was right.
Exactly.
Oh my God. There was so much about Harry Potter, and I'm not going to talk about it too much because we will be here for hours. And I do really want to have Harry Potter's episodes, but the last 2 movies and the last book made me realize that all the struggles and fights that I go for, they just because they're in the past doesn't mean I'm not going to have to keep going through them. Because sometimes I used to live my life like, oh my God, I finally got out of that terrible situation. Everything is great now, and everything would be great for a time, and then something bad would happen, and I'd feel like it was the end of the world.
Right.
But like that's not how life works.
You keep going. You persevere.
Yeah, and it helped with my anxiety and depression because if you have a depressive personality, the second something puts you in a dark place, to climb out of that hole,
it's hard.
It's really hard. But Harry Potter helps.
Absolutely. No, like, there's so many aspects of Harry Potter that have positively impacted my life, like, in that regard. But my favorite scene from the last book and movie,
I don't know,
is where Harry realizes he has to die.
Yes.
And he's walking through the forest, and he pulls out the snitch and opens it, and it's the resurrection stone, and his family greets him.
Yeah.
And they just talk him through it. And I think it is the most, like, I literally cry every single time. I was literally at my desk because I finished re-listening.
Does it hurt?
Oh, God.
Yeah. That's
oh, my God. Like, that whole scene, it just fucks with me because it's such a good scene, and you're pretty much going through everything that's going on in his head.
Well, it's
and
also
talking
like
about how
the scene in the 4th movie and in the 4th book where he's at the graveyard.
Yeah.
And he's going to see Voldemort for the first time.
Ugh.
And, like, I always admired that because, like, you basically met the most evil thing on this planet, the thing that killed your parents, and he was thrown right back into school. And guess what? He still had to go live his life.
Yeah.
And he had to fight against everyone else who didn't believe him.
Oh, my God. That was... The 5th book is the most frustrating.
Like, I get it. Maybe you're not into witches, which, shame on you. But, like... Harry Potter is just a good, like, it's one of the best coming-of-age stories.
It absolutely is. It's going to be a classic for the year. Like,
it should be a classic.
It's going to be up there with Lord of the Rings and the Chronicles of Narnia as if, like, a absolute untouchable classic. Like, of course, like, J.K. Rowling has been doing some retroactive, like, inclusion, which I find very frustrating. Like, the whole Hermione's black thing. Hermione is not black. Hermione will never be black. She was written
white dentist.
She was written as a white person.
Yeah.
And as fantastic as she is, like, I'm totally fine with stage casting whoever the fuck they want to play. Whoever the best actor is, by all means. But that character is not black. I don't, like, I'm totally fine if it were written that she was a black character, but being black, like, she's written as a white character. She has white privilege. She has things that white people... Or she doesn't have to deal with certain things that a black person or any other person of color would have to deal with.
Being black obviously didn't shape her personality. It'd be a different Hermione.
Exactly. And I respect people like, drawing like black Hermione and doing poems and whatever. But at the end of the day, she was written as a white character.
Yeah.
And black people and people of color.
We can reimagine her, but that's a whole different story than if we're going to reimagine her.
Like, they're going to have to rewrite the books.
Yeah.
But I'm here for people, like, I understand people wanting that because Hermione's a great character. Hermione is such a positive, good person, but she's based off J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Like, she is J.K. Rowling's proxy in this book series. And J.K. Rowling's not a black woman. She doesn't have that experience. She doesn't have that. This is a total side rant. I'm so sorry.
See, I told you I wasn't going to talk about it.
Oh, God.
Because you see what happens.
Yeah, okay.
Hermione's not black. Harry Potter's amazing. Read the books, watch the movies, come back and talk to us.
Yes. No, it shaped my life, too, for a lot of other reasons. Kept me through, like, really dark times. Like, I had a lot of, like, depression and shit going on in high school and what have you.
Didn't. High school fucking cocaine sucks.
And then this is also like when I was being diagnosed with bipolar disorder, my parents not believing me. So I was just trying to keep things together until I had a mental breakdown, like my sophomore year. Like, so much shit happened in Harry Potter, and the promise of that book and a resolution and just escaping to that world kept me going for the longest.
Anything that I can do to... I'm just like Lorelai Gilmore. Anything that make my mom mad, I'm happy to do. So sneaking witchcraft and contraband into my bedroom to watch and corrupting my younger sisters into watching it. And actually, I wasn't even into Harry Potter. Melissa's the one who got me into Harry Potter.
Really?
She begged me to take her to see the first movie, and I was like, ugh, Harry Potter. And then I was like, oh, Harry Potter. Like, it changed
good.
my life.
It's
changed
so
my
good.
Life. It really did. And then I started reading the books because she already had them. She was hiding them, and so like I would take them and read them. Yeah.
This is Melissa.
The one
I like her even more.
Okay. What are we on? 3?
So 3. So my third. No, we're actually on 4.
Good.
So my fourth one is a TV show, and it's The Golden Girls. Like, The Golden Girls resonates with the queer community as a whole, but with a lot of people just love the Golden Girls.
Mario's movies and TV shows are so much more positive and uplifting than mine.
Well, I told you,
I feel like a super dark person. My reasons for liking Harry Potter are dark.
Yeah. But that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. But like, people.
There's no light without dark.
In sync a lot, and I'm like, we really are different.
Well, with me, I had so much darkness in my life. I looked to media that was positive to help lift me through it.
Whereas I looked to media to find people to relate to and accept myself.
Mm-hmm. Which work, and they're both valid. They're both valid. Like, you found solace and your identity within those things. So there's nothing wrong with it being from a dark place.
It kind of hit me all at once. Because you're like Golden Girls, and I'm like, fuck Voldemort. Harry Potter's the best because he continues going through shitty times. Like,
well, the Golden Girls teach you a lot of those lessons, though. Like,
but with like a laughing backdrop. Like, I love the Golden Girls, but I wouldn't say they shaped my life.
Oh, they totally shaped my life. Like, they introduced me to a lot of concepts that I didn't realize. Abortion, gay marriage, gay rights, accepting your gay family member. They talked about women having babies from a birth.
Okay, that makes sense. That's okay. It makes sense.
Women having babies from a sperm bank. Like, there's so many things that were introduced to the Golden Girls. I always
felt like those things, I was like 100% for. That's why Golden Girls didn't shape me.
Oh, see.
I'm more pissed off when people talk around those things in shows. Mm-hmm. Like Golden Girls, I was like, yes, Golden Girls, go.
Well, it introduced me to all these concepts and realized, okay, it's okay for this to happen. It's okay for that. Like, you're not a terrible person. Like, the whole, like, lesbian panic episode, I love.
Whereas, like, I was like, oh, I hope there's actually lesbians.
Well, there was a lesbian, but they thought she had a crush on Dorothy, or was it on Rose? And she did have a crush on Rose, but like, they're like, no, it's fine, I'm not into that. She's like, okay, cool, I respect it. But like, there's just so many different things.
People are not all, what are they called?
Debaucherous, like, pedophiles. They're not
going to try and force their dick or vagina in your face.
Exactly. But with the Golden Girls, it also taught me a lot about comedy, like,
timing.
Comedic timing is so good. Sarcasm. Like, I became a very sarcastic person because of Dorothy Stornak. Like,
oh God, she's so great.
Also, when I have to play like the stupid person or like innocence, I pull a Rose.
Rose, yeah.
Like, I will do it like with the most, like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me being manipulative, but I emulate Rose Nyland when I need to for my benefit. Mm-hmm. But like, I also, growing up, I didn't have a big family. Like, I have a family, but I did not communicate with my family because back then you couldn't, because there wasn't the internet like there was today.
Right.
And so we're an Army family. We moved around a lot. So, like, different characters in TV shows I attached myself to, and they were like my TV family. Mm-hmm. So Blanche is my TV grandma. And
you really did use all of this as a way to escape.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it seems positive, but it's escapism. Yeah. It's outright escapism. And, like, Uncle Jesse was my TV uncle. And, like, all these different, like, I had, like, I don't know. I have a lot of emotional investment. So, like, when Blanche Deborah, like, Rue Mulcahy died, mm-hmm. I was devastated. I'm getting misty-eyed thinking about it. I love her so much.
Beet red.
Stop! Don't look at me.
I'm not.
It's fine. So it's just a really important show to me, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm crying.
You're so cute.
I love the Golden
Girls. About things that like shape your life, though.
I know. And then I also have really good memories of my grandpa who passed away recently. Oh my God. I'm good.
Well, it's fine. Like, I'm the one who hates crying, and I've cried on like 3 episodes. So.
I know, right? I don't usually mind crying. I just don't like talking when I'm crying because I sound like a mess. But no, I really love the Golden Girls. It's really important to me. But what's yours?
Okay. I don't even know which one I have left.
You have What Dreams May Come and Interstellar.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What Dreams May Come I saw in High School Mythology. And did I say it right?
What?
Mythology?
Yeah.
Okay. Last time you were like, you say it so weird.
You did say it weird that one time.
Mythology.
I think you said it like meth or something.
Mythology?
That's it. There you go. Mythology.
Okay. Mythology.
I totally forgot I even
I didn't know what to expect. So Robin Williams is in it. And I thought this is one of those like hokey pokey things. I only care about like Roman and Greek mythology. But they make you study everything.
I actually don't know what this is about.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Please explain it.
It's really fucking dark.
Natch.
Yeah. It's very tragic, but also so beautiful. And I love things that show like the beauty in tragedy. Mm-hmm. So there is Robin Williams' character and his wife. The opening scene is like them meeting by chance. Like their boats collide somewhere in the Alps.
Oh.
If I'm not mistaken, he's a doctor. And she's You
just sound super Jersey.
Oh, doctor.
No, I love it. I love it.
So
Mr. Sheffield.
He's a doctor, and she's an artist, but she, like, you find hints of, like, bipolar disorder and things throughout the movie with her.
Oh, so she's bipolar.
Bipolar, I don't, if it's bipolar, like, super depressive, I don't remember what it is. They have 2 kids. Their kids were killed in a car accident. She never recovered, and she never recovered, and he was hit in by a car, trying to go help her because she was having a mental breakdown about her gallery opening. So she felt super guilty about all of it, because if I'm not mistaken, she was driving the car where the kids died, so she never recovered.
So like she's like in like a mental facility for the rest of her life, or
no, not even. She like commits suicide on the movie.
Oh shit!
Yeah, she eats arsenic mixed with yogurt, I believe. So the story is about Robin Williams in the afterlife, and he he's finding his way through the afterlife because it's nothing like what we conceptualized. So it's not like a single place that everyone goes to. It is a place that you go to, but your reality in the afterlife is shaped by what you need, your concepts. So his daughter appears as like an Asian woman because he once said the Asian women were the most beautiful women on the planet, and she never forgot that because she wasn't Asian. And so he had like a moment with her to heal about that. His son, I forget how he appeared. He appeared as like his guide through the darker parts of the afterlife, because he was too scared. He knew more about the afterlife than his dad, but he didn't think his dad would take him seriously. Mm-hmm. So he realized it like while they were trying to go find his mom. So when he started realizing he could see his wife in the afterlife, she would never appear. It was because she committed suicide. And if you commit suicide, you're basically in a hell that like you can't ever get out of. It's like your personal hell.
Shit.
So he decides, because he loves her so much, he's going to go fight his way through these hells. They're beautifully, beautifully done. To go bring her back. He finally finds her, and she refuses to like recognize him, and she refuses to pull herself out, and like nothing he's doing is working, and he finally shuts himself in the house. He's like, fuck it, I'm gonna be here too. I'm not leaving you alone like this. And it's a story about love and like what links you should go to for the person that you love. And I actually have friends that when they went to pre-marriage counseling, their therapist like made them watch this movie and be like, this is what marriage is like. Like you need to prepare yourself to fight for your partner, or you don't need to be married. Because if you don't feel this way about your partner, you shouldn't be married. Oh
my god, I need to see this movie.
It's Mario, it's shaped the way I feel about love. It shaped the way I feel about like not judging people. Like his daughter coming to him as an Asian woman was really powerful to me, and just because she was shaped by what he said. So also like I'm so conscious about how I say things to people and not like ever offending people, because I don't want that to stay with them. It's such a good movie, and it is just, that's what I'm watching tonight. I've changed my mind.
Is it on Netflix?
No, I think I have it. I'm about to give Mario all my D's.
Oh my gosh, stop.
So good.
So he stays in hell with her at the end?
Huh?
Does he stay in hell with her at the end?
Because of his love is so strong and powerful, he's able to pull her out, and she's able to go live in his world with him.
Aww, that's beautiful. And you don't like romance?
this is not a tip. Like,
But that's
he didn't
romantic.
choose to make out with her in a scene where they're dying because they're being attacked and we just need a really quick kiss. Like, there's absolutely no physical touching between them. It's a connection.
But that's love. That's
right.
ultimate romance.
So you want to give me a movie like that, I call it romance. I don't want something
But that
where,
is a romance. That is so romantic.
But it's not like the typical... Here's my Harry Potter.
Aww.
Origins.
So, like, she is fully pulling out, like, 2001 style, like, binder full of DVDs right now, and I am here for it.
Because there was a time in my life where I just bought DVDs. Like, here's my Contraband Gilmore Girls, and I had someone burn for me before I bought all the box set.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah, someone burned them all for me. Because I was like, please, I need them. Lady in the Water.
Oh, work.
If you want to borrow it.
I'm down.
Oh, I should have said this one.
What is it?
But I can't put this one over Interstellar. V for Vendetta.
Oh, I've never seen V for Vendetta.
That's good. But yeah, that's why I like that one. What drink?
So...
And I think that is... I think we have an attached CD player. So if you don't want to take it and watch it... Well, I'll bring it to you for work this week because I have to watch it tonight.
That's fine.
But you can take Lady in the Water.
All right. So my last movie is Practical Magic. Another Sandra Bullock classic.
And it's another one that I love, but it's not one that shaped my life.
It
Not like Harry Potter.
It introduced me to the witch aesthetic. I love, like, how they dress. I love their style, like, especially at the end where they're dressed up for, like, the...
This was the second one I saw. I saw The Craft first.
I saw The Craft second, but I
Craft
love
introduced me.
The Craft. They're making a sequel. We've talked about it.
We'll
But,
talk about it later in detail.
so, with this, I mean, it also solidified me as, like, a hopeless romantic. The whole concept of it with her... like doing the spell to find the perfect man with one green eye and one blue, whose favorite shape is a star, who can flip pancakes and whatever. Like this ideal person. Like
I hated that part.
I love it so much because
like more like the
they're bound by
curse.
this curse, and it breaks the curse because the love is so pure and true. Like he doesn't die because it pretty much undoes the hurt that the original scorned woman had.
Yeah,
like
their ancestor.
Exactly. So I really love this movie. It's a heart warmer for me. Like it always makes me smile. I love Stockard Channing in it. She's just so
She's great.
gorge. Like I love her.
No, she's great, but she's great. Period.
She really is. Like
I love Stockard Channing.
Like I watched 6 Degrees of Separation because of Stockard Channing.
Yes. Oh my god.
I was just
yes.
I was founded on like HBO or something. Not HBO. What was it? It was just like on DirecTV or something, and she was there, and I was like, I'm not really here for. I like Will Smith, but I'm not gonna just. He's in it. I'm gonna watch it. But it was Stockard Channing, and I was like, oh my god, Stockard Channing, we're watching it.
So good.
And then like same with that's how I stumbled on First Wives Club.
Oh my god.
And then she killed herself.
Did you see it?
No, but I believe
in
you.
there.
I love that movie.
Diane Keaton.
Yeah,
She's a huge fan of hers.
I like everybody in that movie. Honestly, like
Goldie Hawn.
I was so bummed that she was not in the movie a lot.
Right, yeah, because she's the one who kills herself.
Exactly. But I love Stockard Channing. I'm so sorry. So
if you watch Lady in the Water, you would know we all have our role to play, and her death is what brought her friends back together.
Exactly,
and it's a bigger thing to focus on.
There we go. And then also it helped them open that center to
That's right.
help women with.
See, there was a bigger. It's sad and it's tragic, but there was a bigger purpose to it all.
Absolutely. But I mean, we're not glorifying suicide.
Not
This is not 13 Reasons Why.
I'm trying to connect Lady in the Water.
Work. No, I got you.
No, please don't commit suicide. There's plenty of people who want to help you. Send me a message. I'll find help. Moving on. Happy times. Practical magic.
So, no, it was like, and also I related a lot because she has a very tumultuous relationship with her sister. Mm-hmm. And so that always spoke to me because my sister and I did not have a terrible relationship growing up. We actually had a very similar relationship with them growing up, and that we got through hard times together because we both had to deal with abuse and what have you. But as my sister became older, she became more like Nicole Kidman, was very destructive, like pushed family away, and
kind of always admired
took advantage.
Nicole Kidman's character in that.
I didn't, because she wasn't in control.
No, yeah, you're right. She wasn't.
And that's no way to live.
Of it is fine.
It was nice, it's admirable, but it's not a way to sustain a life, you know?
It's true.
Unless you're like a hippie and have like a benefactor. But with her, she got into an abusive relationship and what have you. So I think that's also what brought me to the movie, or kept me tied to the movie for so long. Because as I've aged, I've seen things a lot more. Because as a child, you want to be like Nicole Kidman. You're like, oh yeah, she's just having fun. She has a really handsome man. And you see the repercussions. But as I age, I see myself more as Sandra Bullock's character. And like, not in the sense that I have like this perfect man out there waiting for me. But in the sense that like, you have to do what's right for your family. And you have to be there for everybody. And sometimes, not necessarily giving up on your dreams, but sometimes you have to put those dreams on pause if it means being there for somebody, you know? And so I really just love that movie and I relate to it a lot. Now, let's get on to yours because we're running out of time. Interstellar. I fucking love
Interstellar, partly because, like, there's something about that whole, when you tie a story together, like at the end where she's coming through the other dimension to leave notes for...
Well, he's coming through.
Yeah, he's coming through to leave notes for his daughter, and his daughter eventually finds that she gets to see him. So I love it. I also love anything that's like it's science fiction, but is also bounded in like true science that we know and we practice and we're looking for answers for right now. Like, I'm so into other dimensions. That's probably why I like Stranger Things too. Because
the concept of dimensions like was really sparked by this. Like, I have like a whole like book concept that I've been like working on. Not directly inspired by this, but it made me come to it. But I really love this movie. In terms of the science, it's stuff that I read like as a kid.
Yeah, like
a lot of like in terms of like the different dimensions and what those dimensions mean. So he went into the fifth.
Of the black hole actually being like a portal.
Exactly.
Yeah. And no one knows what goes on in black holes. Like, it's great. And then also you should know, like, as a whole, I hate like science fiction-y, like fiction that takes itself too seriously. Like, I'm not a Star Wars person. That's not my thing.
Dune isn't your thing?
No, but
they're making a show.
But also Gravity was terrible. I thought Gravity... Oh my God.
We were just talking about this at work today.
I hate Gravity.
I've never seen it.
I also don't like movies where there's one person left, and her dying in space for 2 hours was more than I could handle.
But she didn't die.
But that's she was dying in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, she was slowly going in and out of, like...
consciousness.
I just couldn't handle it. I don't care that she survived at the end. It was more than I could handle. Like, being the last person on the planet or floating in space, that freaks me out, so I can't watch stuff like that.
That's why I didn't watch it. Because I heard it's overwhelming. Like, especially seeing it in theaters.
It's very overwhelming.
And I'm that kind of person, I'm going to hold my breath when the character can't breathe.
And then the idea of, like, people still going into outer space, like, also freaks me out. But I really admire the way that they do it in this movie. It's a sacrifice. It's a true sacrifice. It's a true sacrifice, you know.
Except for Matt Damon. Fuck Matt Damon.
Oh, Matt Damon was terrible. But this movie was done in 3 parts, and each part is, like, breathtaking and beautiful and exciting and science fiction. And I like a good trashy science. Like, don't be too serious. Like, give me Sharknado, Cajun, Crawdad, whatever they are. Those shows are terrible. That movie's terrible, but I fucking love them. Interstellar was a beautiful piece to mankind about how, like, we need to evolve and keep looking and keep searching, and there's always answers out there.
And see, we did get separate.
Wet dream.
We did get different things out of it.
I got the darker shit out of it.
Well, that's not even dark. That's not dark. That's very optimistic.
What did you get out of it?
I got the whole love knows no bounds.
Oh, see, I don't look for romance.
Well, it's not romance. It's love between a father and a daughter. Like,
yeah,
like your love is more like love is a powerful. It's just like Dumbledore says, like love is the most powerful force in the universe.
That's not what I got from it, but yeah, sure.
Her love for her father and the clues that he was able to communicate to her through that Tesseract, like, is beautiful to me. Like, it's just so.
No, it is beautiful, but as a whole.
And then, like, it's heartbreaking too. Like the whole, like they go on that Jupiter-like planet for a minute, come back, and you just watch his son grow up and then give up on him within 5 minutes, and I sob every time. And it's
well, it really just makes you feel like life is too short.
It really is. It really makes you value life and the people in your lives, and be grateful for their presence, because one day they may not be there in the way that you may want them to be.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
Interstellar
movie.
is a great movie, and it really shaped me. And I was an adult when I saw that.
Same. It came out 5 years ago.
For it to have shaped me as an adult is a pretty big deal.
It's one of the few DVDs I own.
I'm pretty unwavering in my beliefs. So for something to, like, critically change the way I look at things, be super touched by it.
Definitely. But also, I just
Shape
remember...
of Water's a waste of time, though. Don't watch it.
Oh my god, I thought you were saying Lady in the Water. I'm like, what the fuck were you talking
Lady
about?
in the Water's fucking amazing.
Damn, she's in her feelings. Sorry, Guillermo. I still love you. I haven't seen it, but I love his art. It's beautiful.
I hated that movie so much. I like him too. I told you, I struggle with watching Pan's Labyrinth, but it is one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen.
It really is.
It's such a, like, you're in a whole nother world tied up in reality. Like, that's a beautiful fucking concept. And the way he does it is amazing. And, like, the SFX makeup, oh my God, it is amazing. But, like, I can't watch a crazy person torture people. I have a problem with it.
Yeah, that's
hard. I feel like I say torture wrong. Is it torture or torture? Torture.
The first one was right.
Torture.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no...
It sounds funny. It sounds wrong.
Torture. That sounds weird.
Okay. Torture sounds weird, too. It sounds like I'm saying tortoise and then making a left turn to the U-R-E.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, those are the movies that she does.
And TV shows.
Yes, and TV shows.
But there's other things, of course. These are the ones that we can think of off the top of our heads that we wanted to share and talk about.
5-minute segment.
Exactly.
We're like, this is what we're doing. Okay.
We're doing it. I like it. Let's do it. And it's like, okay, boom, 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 boom. Because honestly, I feel like with something like this, you really need to just, what comes to you first? That one has most meaning.
And all of these came to me right then. He said TV shows, and I went, Gilmore Girls.
Of course.
Yeah, because it really did shape me. All right, let's close this sumbitch out.
All right. We'll be right back.
So I have a fucking hooray.
Do you?
Yeah, I just told Mari about this, so I'm going to say it on the podcast.
Can we call it something else?
Yeah, what do you want to call it?
I don't know. Like,
this is how we're closing it out, guys. We're going to talk about the fun things we've learned about this week that weren't enough to make it onto the show.
Okay.
Lizzo's Truth Hurts, even though it was released in 2017, will be up for awards this year. They're making a special... exception for her to be considered for a
good fucking
Grammy.
song.
Well, and Daniel didn't know who she was, so in the car I was like, I have to play you this song and I need to explain to you why I like her now. And Mario introduced me to her, and then I let him listen to the song, and then I showed him the performance, and he was like,
the fucking flute is everything.
When she brought the flute and was just like twerking on stage with the flute, I was like, I'm obsessed with her. And I was like, listen to these songs. Like,
Rihanna's just like
I've been
bopping.
obsessed with her music since I really sat down and listened.
She has such a good message. Like, everything she writes comes from the heart. Like, it's true shit that people don't talk about.
Fucking bop, though.
Oh my God, it's a fucking
and Juice.
bop.
I love Juice. Juice
oh my God, I love Juice.
Favorite.
And oh God, I don't know.
There's this great playlist on Spotify. I think I can share it to our socials. And it's called This Is Lizzo. And it's just like all of like her most listened to songs on Spotify.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't have Spotify, but I might be able to copy them and make a playlist on Apple Music.
Yeah, I'll send you a screenshot of the songs and you can just do it on Apple, and then I'll do it on Spotify.
Yeah.
But like it's the best songs if you really want to get into like what her message is about, because it has a little bit of everything.
I love Soulmate. Soulmate is probably my favorite.
Is good too. But Truth Hurts has been my favorite, and I don't know if it's because of her performance or I like that. That's the song I told you I played after God Is a Woman, after the Handmaid's episode.
Yes.
Why make great?
Tell it.
Oh God.
So my ray of light. What if we call it a ray of light?
Oh, let's call it a ray of light.
Because we're Madonna fans.
Madonna. Look, it's already on Juice right there.
Work.
I'm not playing it.
I listened to it on the way over.
It's this one right here. This is Lizzo.
Okay.
If I touch it, it'll start playing, and I don't want to.
Just screenshot the words, please, or the playlist, so I can make it on Apple Music.
And this, like, recently played. This is my favorite divas, girls I like, and Lizzo's number one, because that's just all I've been listening to.
Her music's so good.
It's really good, and it's different. So it's not even like pure hip hop, pure rap. It's like a mix of everything. It's genuinely, obviously, like a lover of music trying to make different sounding songs and convey messages that relate to her. It's so fucking good. It's eclectic.
Exactly. It's what brings me to Janelle Monáe.
Yeah.
Like, they have the similar vibe.
Monáe.
Like, they're just so fucking good. Mm-hmm. And they sample, and not even sample, they pull from different genres.
Yes.
And just communicate their message.
And none of their songs sound the same.
Like, they're true artists.
Yeah, they are. And they're true musical people.
Exactly. Because, like, they have a vision, and they execute that vision.
Yeah.
And, there's, pop music nowadays is just...
I would put Ariana Grande in that category now with her latest 2 albums.
I haven't given her any time.
I understand.
So I wouldn't know.
But her last 2 albums have been super eclectic, where she's had everything from, like, horns to a hip-hop beat to, like, trap music. Uh-huh. And she's really pulled from everything. And, like, some of her stuff has been, like, a beautiful... But her song about anxiety, like, I listen to on a daily basis.
But, like, is Rings or 7 Rings really art, or is that regressive? I find that regressive. Because she's sampling somebody else's beat. She's using the words from Sound of Music.
No, that was the other one. Sorry. Yes, you're right. Sound of Music.
But I feel like it's just...
I don't think that's fair. And I don't think that's fair because you don't know a lot of what was happening during the time. Like, she's on this podcast about how she talks about how this music was written on this album. And she's like, I was in a dream state when this stuff come out. And when we sampled and pulled things, I did everything based on, like, how I felt that day.
Which is great, but that's not communicated in your art. Whereas Lizzo's and Janelle Monáe's vision is clear in their music.
I don't know that statement's true for everybody, because some people are going to hear Lizzo's song and feel like you feel about Ariana Grande and not get it.
Maybe
you know
so.
what I mean?
Maybe so. I don't know. It's probably my preconceived notions based off her history and things she says. I see her as vapid. And so I know it's very harsh.
Grande?
Yes.
Oh, I'm okay with her being vapid.
And I see that. I mean, I'm a Britney fan, of course. I'm fine with vapidity, but I'm not going to put her on the same level as Lizzo and Janelle.
Okay.
Like, I don't see it. But I mean, right on. If you
I would say her music has become more eclectic and different and more true to her sound is what I was trying to convey.
Right.
I don't think I'd put Ariana Grande at the same page as Lizzo.
But would you know?
Probably not her most recent stuff, but to be fair, there's a lot of, when artists first come out, they do try to placate, like, their label and stuff.
Well, yeah, but that's been, Ariana's been out for, 7 years?
Yeah,
like,
she's just now getting away from, like, what her label wants. So.
Maybe so. Maybe she'll produce an Next Dirty Computer or something great.
I don't know. But Lizzo, I'm so happy for her.
And then her message
tweet,
on Instagram.
The tweet,
or was it Instagram?
It was a tweet, yeah.
Or not Instagram, it was Twitter.
Where she was like, I know everyone's going to have something to say because this song came out 2017, but, like, I worked hard. When I released Truth Hurts, I was almost quit music because no one gave a shit. And she's been an independent artist, like, touring for 10 years or so.
You know, she actually worked with Prince, too, though.
Did she?
She did.
Oh, my God.
You need to watch her Breakfast Club interview.
I will.
As soon
as you leave, I will.
Do it. I didn't fucking love it. She was on I love the Breakfast Club. Charlamagne's problematic. Yes, I know. But they do good-ass fucking interviews.
What's her name?
Angela Yee.
I don't like her.
I have no issue with Angela Yee. A lot of people don't like Angela Yee. I don't
like
understand
her.
why.
She says, like, stupid shit sometimes. I'm like, stop fucking talking. You make women look bad.
I just feel like people are really harsh on her because she's
No. This is coming from me. I'm super feministic. I know. I should be, like, all about her. I mean, even, did you ever listen to Bob and Sherry?
Yes.
Sherry was, like, a fucking whiner all the time.
Yeah. Are they not on anymore?
I don't know. Angela Yee has said stuff that I've listened to and I've been like, you need to stop.
Well, I haven't had...
Do you listen to it all the time?
I don't. Only whenever it's a celebrity I want to hear from, or whenever, like, sometimes the Rumor Report, I'll listen with Angela Yee, and sometimes with her advice.
When they do, like, in-between stuff, sometimes she says shit where I'm like, you've got to be smarter than that.
Well, see, I would love to listen to it on the daily, but on my iPod Nano, I can listen to the radio, but it has to be held at a certain angle because your headphones are the antenna, because it's one of the old iPod Nanos. And that station comes in and out, so it's really hard to get that station. Yeah. So I don't really get to listen to it regularly, but I do watch the videos. But her interview on The Breakfast Club talks about her experience with Prince, because she's from Minnesota or whatever, or was living in Minnesota. That's right,
because that's why she references the Minnesota Vikings. New Minnesota Vikings.
But she talks about working with him, how he inspired her, and, like, Janelle also on her Breakfast Club interview talks about working with Prince as well, and they all, like, it seems like it's an otherworldly experience because they really have a hard way putting it into words. Yeah. But he was so encouraging and so inspiring to them, and I think it's beautiful. Like, I mean, yeah, he was like a Seventh-day Adventist, or
was he?
He was super religious. Not a Seventh-day Adventist. What's the other one?
No, that's what's her name's mom in Gilmore Girls.
What?
The Kims, they were 7-day Adventists.
No, it's not Seventh Day.
Is it like one of those weird sects?
Yes.
Church of Christ?
The ones who think
Jehovah's Witness?
He's a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, they think only a certain number of
people are going to get to heaven. Yeah.
Well, I believe he's there, damn it.
Maybe so. If there is heaven.
So, Lizzo, we're so happy for you.
Yeah, I'm really happy for her.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be nominated for a Grammy 2 years after you released a song where you almost quit.
Well, I think the reason they're making the exception is because it was re-released on her latest album, which was released within this period. And it didn't have a wide release previously.
Got it.
And it was only, like, I bought the album when it came out, but I didn't realize there was a deluxe. So I deleted it off and bought the deluxe.
But
because
still,
Truth Hurts is only on the deluxe.
But still,
It's a bop. It's a
the
fucking
fact
bop.
that like it's
They recognize.
Yeah, and I also think it has a lot to do with her performance. I watch it all the time.
It's
like when
so
I need a little
good.
like pick me up and feel good about myself.
And then
I
the
watch
celebrities
it.
are just eating it up. The
Well,
fact that
and then when she drops her veil or she flips it back and she's like, ha! And I'm like, it's like,
I love her so much. I'm
She's-
so glad you
she's
love her as much
really-
as I love her.
I'm so mad that I didn't listen to you before. Because
Yeah.
you've been telling me about her for a while. I'm like, yeah, she can't be that great. And then I listen and I'm like, I could have had these songs all year.
She's on Drag Race.
You told me.
She's one of the judges.
I fucking love Lizzo.
And they lip sync to her
and
song.
I want to see her as a stripper in the new movie Hustler.
I'm excited for this.
I'm excited because I feel like I have a new movie date. Mario and I are going to see Hustlers. We're going to see Cats.
We're going to see Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's Angels. Those are the only three.
We'll add more.
We
For
will.
sure.
I told Jane, I was like, Mario's going to go with me to see Cats. And he was like, hey. I was like, you still owe me a musical this year. I can't get out of it.
And you only have 6 months or 5 months.
I need to see what's going on at the Springer.
Anything good? Let me know.
I don't know.
Weren't they supposed to do Evita?
They already did it. Evita.
Did you see it?
Evita. No, I didn't.
So my
should've
ray of
played
light.
I can't. I'm going to want to sing it every time you say it, though. That's the only problem with calling it that.
What?
Bigger than a ray of light.
It's a good bop.
It's a great bop.
So my ray of light this week is a doll. If you haven't seen it, there's dolls called LOL Surprise Dolls.
Which we buy for my daughter.
And I saw a YouTube video where they recently made boys.
They've been girls up until this point.
Only girls. And they look a little creepy. I don't know. They have big eyes. We'll post pictures on social media.
They're like teenage babies.
Kinda, yeah. They're like little whore babies. And I love them. I'm here for the aesthetic.
My daughter loves them too.
I'm
But
here-
also the toy itself is weird. Have you ever bought like an LOL?
Yeah, I did. Because I had to buy the boy.
So, no. How did that come in a box?
It came in a ball.
And so you had to take apart the ball
You had to
to
take
get all the
apart the
clothes?
ball. Yeah.
That's so fucking weird to me.
It's like, well, I like it. I don't like how wasteful it is because it's so much fucking plastic. Like my best friend Bridget and I got them for her birthday because I was like, oh my god, like we should get one. And she's like, okay, so I'll buy it for you. So we got in the car and we literally filled up a Walmart bag full of plastic.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's not recyclable plastic either.
No.
It's so fucking wasteful.
Yes.
So I hope they change to paper. A lot of like those little blind box things, like people like. A lot of toys nowadays, especially with surprises like this, it's a whole interactive experience because...
It's so annoying, though. 'Cause my
opening
daughter
it-
had like 15 at Christmas.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I was like, oh, honey, you can do one a day. Have fun. You can't tell a child that, I know. But
Not at Christmas.
so anyway, so the boys were recently released, and they have penises.
So glad Mario told me, because my husband is like, we're not buying her that boy doll.
Or you could just cut it small enough you could cut off.
I'm not cutting off a toy's penis. It's not going to happen.
Why
Absolutely.
not?
That feels weird.
Do you want me to cut it off for you?
No, that feels like man-hating kind of bullshit. Like, we're just going to keep buying her girls and let someone else enjoy. Can you imagine, here, baby, here's your new doll. I cut off the penis like the Romans did to the statues.
Well, she's not going to know it was there. She's just going to see a hole. That's how the girls are. The girls have a little hole there.
Oh my God, I'm not doing that. Something feels wrong about
But
that.
anyway, so they have a little penises, and some of them pee out of the penis. And I was lucky, and I got the one that pees out of his penis. And it is the funniest thing
Mario
in the world
is
to
a
me.
fucking trip right now. He sent me videos where he is just laughing at this doll. It's kind of creepy, actually. So I'm definitely
He's a
gonna
little
post
cowboy. He's super cute, but he has a little wiener, and so you feed him like
You know who else is a cowboy? The character of oh god, what, the blonde guy that I can't stand, but everybody loves. He's a surfer. He's kind of talks like this.
from
He was in
what?
Wolf of Wall Street. He was in the first
Matthew
Magic Mike.
McConaughey?
Yes.
He's
He
an
was a-
Interstellar.
He was I know. He was a naked cowboy in the first
Oh.
Magic Mike, which was terrible. Whatever. Anyway, I'm happy about the LOL doll.
It's so fucking funny. I love it. I'm gonna send her the video and the picture of him as a little cowboy.
Oh, and I love my wine picture for Puerto Rico. I'm so proud of that on Instagram.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. It's still up.
What?
Sarah Jessica Parker looks like a horse.com.
That's not nice.
It's a whole website dedicated to pictures.
Oh my God, I want to shut down this website.
It's awful.
That's the worst thing I've ever seen. We're done now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to discuss
I love
you.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
I only like her in...
No, I like her in everything.
I only like her in Hocus Pocus.
No.
You don't like Hocus Pocus?
I love Hocus Pocus, but that's not even like...
I've never seen Sex and the City. I'm not attached to her like you are.
You never saw Footloose?
No. She's in Footloose?
Yes!
Is she the main girl?
No, she's her best friend.
Oh, no, I've never seen Footloose.
She's so good in it.
So what else is she in?
I had to look them up, but she's good. I have a terrible memory, not because there's so few.
I just never got into Sex and the City. I heard it's like Golden Girls, but younger.
Yeah, it's good.
They did do a really great Sex and the City parody on Robot Chicken, but it was the Golden Girls instead of them, and like they were talking about sex, and so like Blanche is talking about a no denture adventure.
She was in The Family Stone. She's
Haven't
in The
seen it.
First Wives Club. She was in Honeymoon in Vegas.
Oh,
You
she
never
is.
saw that?
She's the ex-husband's new flame.
Yeah.
Okay. So I like her, but I didn't like her in that. She was
Smart
not
People.
likable.
She was really
Haven't
good in
seen
that.
it.
I don't know how she does it. That's a good one.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, you have New Year's Eve. That was okay. She didn't have a big role in that.
I heard that wasn't very good.
It was okay.
I heard Valentine's Day was worse though.
Yeah, it was.
I haven't seen a lot of her stuff. I've only seen Practical Magic, or not
Yeah.
Practical Magic. First Wives Club and Hocus Pocus. I loved her in Hocus Pocus. I thought she's beautiful in Hocus Pocus.
She's beautiful.
I
period.
don't co-sign that she looks like a horse.
No, it's so insulting. I bet that guy looks like he has a tiny dick, except it's when he looks in the mirror and it is a tiny dick.
It was made by a woman.
How do you know?
I'm just throwing a wrench.
Fuck with me. Mario loves to say shit like that to me.
But if you just say it with enough conviction, people don't normally
You're
question
really
it.
good at that.
I am very good at that. It's my skill. It's my special skill. I put it on my resume.
I'm not good at that at all. I'm always like, well...
I don't. Although I feel like Voldemort, like in a bad way, because like
But you would never use your power for evil.
not for evil, but to get my way sometimes.
Yeah, but not if it meant like...
Hurting somebody.
Yeah.
Like my mom was saying like a really... I told you about this, right? My mom was saying like this really stupid like slang word. Like I don't even know what the word was. It was just like a super like rednecky word. And it was like bad. Like it just sounded stupid. Like it made her sound like she had like...
Uneducated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like... And she said it like twice. I was like, Mom, you cannot say that word. And she's like, why? What do you mean? I was like, that is a racial slur against Vietnamese people. And she's like, oh my God, I didn't know. Oh my God, don't tell anybody. Oh my God. She hasn't said it since.
But it's a lie.
It is a lie.
Oh my God. I
But-
respect you. I respect you so much. And that's how the world should work. Sometimes you don't have time to explain to someone why they look stupid. You just lie so they stop doing
Exactly.
it. That's my motto for parenting. Such a wonderful motto. Yeah.
So you're going to watch that tonight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay.
You sure? You can take it.
No, I can probably find it. Like I have a way of finding it.
Oh, good.
I'll watch it.
You're
You've
gonna
piqued my
cry.
interest.
You're gonna cry. You're gonna cry. It's
So do I need to save this until I don't have to work the next day?
Are you that affected by suicide?
Sometimes. It depends on how invested in the character I am.
With you, it's hard.
I'll wait. I'll watch it. I'll watch it
so
on
you don't
Tuesday.
have to go to work the next day.
I'll watch it on Tuesday.
I mean, it does end beautifully, though.
Right.
Like, it ends, like, uplifting and wonderful. I mean, but they do kind of show her, like, eating the poison and stuff. So I don't know that you want to...
The worst Activia commercial ever.
Thank you for listening, guys. This has been episode 11. Now we can't ever get a brand deal with Activia. We just inherited suicide. So I'm leaving. We're not cutting that part out because it was fucking hilarious.
Activia.
Guys, you can find us
Sponsor us.
Guys, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram. Where else are we? Twitter.
We have an email. I am very passionate podcast at gmail.com. Like, rate, and review us on Spotify, on Apple Music, or on
Wherever
Apple Music,
you
on,
download
on
podcasts,
iTunes,
yeah.
Apple Podcasts, whatever. And share with your friends if you think they'd like it. Like, we're trying to get a bigger following. So by all means, anybody who you think would like it, let them hear us. And maybe they will. If not, then you can just judge them harshly and keep listening.
Sounds good to me. Activia.
Please sponsor us. Is that...
We gotta go. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I love you.
you remember when Furbies were banned from, like, military buildings?
Yes.
That was such a wild time, you know?